Oh, yes. I didn't start the countdown. Don't assume it's going to be the whole time. That's my bad. It's on me. Can you hear me? Everybody, hit that like, everybody. Let them know we're here. All right. Come on now. Boston, Brian, what's happening, brother? All right. All right, I'm just going to start. Let's just get started. Let's just jump right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. How are you? How you doing? Oh, mic's on. We're all good. Rolling on Yes, yes, we are indeed rolling on Instagram as well. You know, for the kids. Hi, missed you guys yesterday. Boy, did I have a heavy travel day. 4 flights in one day. You gotta love that. To and fro. I flew to and fro. And there was only, I think, from like 9 a.m. till about 11, yeah, almost midnight. I was the only time I wasn't on an airplane, I was in an airport. So, that's fun. Um, how's everybody doing? How you feeling? I should just check in with you personally. Chat room, hello, good to see you. Look at you guys. Gas price will reflect the election. No, I do not. Um, not going to be a factor. If during the summer the Saudis or somebody else tries to drive the price of oil up over the last little bit, we've refilled the strategic reserve. They'll use it to pump it. They'll put some back in, but no, not in a major way. Um, but yeah, stay strong with this at least once a day. I insist. All right, let me roll forward on my version of the chat so I can see you guys. Hi, everybody. March 29th. Cool shirt. Thank you very much. The floaty astronaut is coming. Trust me on that. I remember I used to have him on the Ecamm. That guy who I used to be able to move him around. I'm moving him over to here. But like I said, I had spring break with my kid last week, and I was still able to crank out shows. So that should buy me a little bit of time. Tom, it's great to be seen. Thanks very much. Thanks, John. How are you? Don't forget, hit that like. We're at 67K. Now we got to hit 100. Now we got to hit 100. I know you're watching. Just hit the subscribe button. Just like and subscribe. It really does help. And also things that I'm supposed to say as a professional streamer that I forget to say. Please. Oh, you thought no shows today? No, no shows yesterday. One show today. 2 shows tomorrow. 1 show Thursday. 2 shows on Friday. 1 on Saturday. Also, for our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/HalSparks. The 29th, week from Friday, is it? Jesus Christ. Yep. Ish. We will, hold on. Is it? No, I want to make sure I have the right date. I've got a Flappers gig coming up. Is it this Friday or is this Tuesday? Yeah, it's following. It's another Flapper show. Last Friday of every month. So the last Friday of every month, I do stand up, and it's all brand new, right off the top of my dome, and it goes straight out to our Patreon supporters as a thank you, because it's because of them that I'm able to do this show and not put the contents of this show and the meaning of this show. Thank you, Carl. Yes, the 29th. I was just judging on how many days was till then. I'm still in an airport mentally, or a spaceport, as it were. So, I do that show, and that's the extra thing that the Patreon folks get, so that everything we talk about politically on the show can be open to everyone. Do you see? So I don't understand. I'll get into this gripe again. I'm going to do it. We got to be careful. People who if you're doing a political show or a show about I don't know, a charity or something you care very passionately about that you think affects many people's lives, why the fuck you would put that behind a paywall is beyond me. Even parts of it makes no sense. Put something else behind a paywall. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hal, yeah, but you're talented. These assholes aren't. And so you can afford to put something, behind a paywall that they can't do because you're just super talented. And to that I say touche. That is absolutely the fact. It is the case. So also Saturday's Nerd Halen show, I gotta say, was A, exhausting, and B, fantastic. It was we played the Shag Room, which is the lounge outside of the main theater there at the Virgin Casino, which is right across from where my girls got her show in what is it called, Oxford, 21 Oxford or whatever it is. That's the theater they have there that Ladylike is in, which is fantastic. And then they have this big theater there that used to be the Joint when it was the Hard Rock. That's a theater, and Bret Michaels was performing. God love him. And Edwin McCain opened for him, and I'll be better when I'm older. What, that guy? Okay, he ended with that song. That was very nice of him, and he killed it. And we only got to see a little bit of that because we were like, okay, our show goes on at 10 o'clock, and Brett's supposed to go on at 9. He's supposed to play a 65-minute set because it's his birthday, and it's Vegas, and Vegas shows are always like that. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting. We're like, I got to go change into my goofy-ass outfit. Come on, Brett. And then he did. They kept playing songs like while they were getting ready, and he did a little announcement. I was like, oh, God. So we ran off, got dressed, and missed the top of it. But I will say this. One of my most controversial opinions is that the first Poison record is the most punk album of the 80s. And they'll be like, no. Late 70s punk was a real thing, and they were really pushing against the edges of what was acceptable behavior and hard music and the like. And the Ramones specifically taking like 50s melodies and speeding them up and messing with them and all that kind of stuff was really, I think, the essence of punk running with it. Now, what is the most punk thing you could do in the middle of the 80s is, I got to say, have 4 dudes who look exactly like women. I mean, you look at the album cover for Look What the Cat Dragged In, and then the songs themselves are modern, sexed up versions of 50s types of tunes. So it's rock and roll, but done in a way that pushes against the boundaries. And I would argue that nobody else had the guts. There's not a single punk artist, all the piercings and face paint they wanted to do, or spike your hair up, and none of them were going straight out dressed like women. Like, I mean, look at their faces. They're bloody well gorgeous. Anyways, so point being is that album messed with everybody. Drag queen rock, you could arguably call it that. But what a way to push the limits of what was okay. Because everybody was talking about hair metal and glam metal and all this stuff. And these guys just took it to the nth power. That said, and I would argue that think what you will about Poison songwriting, and people will write them off. But I will say that one of the great things about Poison is it is absolutely true that Brett and those guys were writing at the top of their ability. They were not really talented musicians writing down to the public. They were writing what came naturally to them, right? New York Dolls messed around with it, about the level of Twisted Sister. Twisted Sister also did that. Yeah, did kind of drag rock, wore lingerie and painted their face up. But even then, it was like dudes. You could tell. They were just painted up, and it was fucked up, and it was an image. But Jesus Christ. Look at the cover of a... All right, hold on. Don't make me do this, but let me see. For those that don't know, here's the album cover. Whoops, back up. Open image in new tab. There we go. There we go. And then I will blow it up. Here it is. This is, in case you've forgotten, lest we forget, ladies and gentlemen. This is the album cover for Look What the Cat Dragged In. We are not talking about guys who are just wearing more makeup than androgynous dudes. This was like glam jumping on the back of the shark and riding it, okay? So, yeah, just for the record. That was the album cover. Yeah. Now, I want you to run through your head all the modern talk about transphobia and like anti-gay stuff and blah, blah, and know for a fact that metal fans and rock fans were wearing this on their chest. So, this is beyond androgyny. This goes way past that point. So, anyways, that point made. You don't have to agree with me. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Now, that said, Brett's a very nice guy, and he gave us a shout out from the stage. He let everybody know that Nerd Halen was performing right next door on their way out. So a bunch of his fans, bless them, came over and saw us, and we had a great time. And among them was Bruce Kulick from Kiss, who was their guitar player, through most of the 80s into the 90s. And I've gone ad nauseum about his solo on Forever, his solo on Reason to Live, his riffing on like uh, any number of songs, but the entire Revenge record. Um, so, anyways, he's a lovely dude. He's a lovely human being, and he came in and watched, and like he was with his wife, and they were videotaping Caleb playing guitar. He was like videotaping, like he was like filming it on his phone, and he was like, "Oh, look at that!" He's like, and which was like so much pressure on Caleb. It was hilarious, but they were just lovely. It was great. It was just super fun. So that went very well, and more to come. And also, we have now added a for Sexy Liberal Denver the Sunday night after, Nerd Halen will be playing in Denver. So hopefully, I don't know if Lauren Boebert will show up, but hopefully some of her friends who operate on the same level will show up and, grope their dates and give us some free press, by, by giving the old honk and a whistle right in a crowd full of people. I think that's fingers crossed. Yeah, so the night after the Denver show, we're going to do that, and we're adding another one as we speak. So as they come out, I'll let everybody know. But yeah, that's a really cool thing. I'm trying to add a Nerd Halen show day before or day after all the Sexy Liberal shows that we could possibly do. So that includes Chicago, that includes New York, because it quite frankly, because I'm already going to be there, it makes it way cheaper for the rest of the band because they don't have to fly me into town, and we don't need an extra hotel room. All that stuff adds up at our level as a band, and it can really help expand our reach. So in that, yeah, Boston, absolutely, Boston, Brian, that is totally yeah, we shall make it happen. So lovely. But there you go. That's the opening. I feel like I missed you guys, so much yesterday that I wanted to catch you up. Was Kiss Glam Rock? I think they would qualify, although Silver and Black is the one thing that made them kind of stand out. They didn't qualify, although Paul Stanley with the 1 star and the red lipstick almost by himself, and I would say his outfit just during the like the tours in 79, 80 definitely brought glam to the front of it. But Gene was always there dressed as a dragon, so what do you do? Anyways, missed you too. Thank you. All right, here we go. Now, showtime. Oh no. The Major's got COVID. He'll be fine. We love him. I mean, oh God, the PACT Act was for guys like him, so that makes me worried. But he'll be fine. And if he needs anything, we'll send it to him. Merci Templeton says that. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Brenda, thanks for the like. Mozart Rat, thank you for the share. That really helps sharing out the show. Let's get started. I feel like I'm like constipated with dipshittery. We got so much stupid stuff going on. Now, there's a bunch of these things. Well, let's I mean, I don't want to bury the lead, but let's just jump into the fact that Stank here, this is in case you don't know, this is Grant Stankbuster. What's his name? Grant Stankfeld. He says, I don't know if you know this. I've heard this from many Republicans. Real journalism in America is dead. Says the guy who supports the dude who calls everybody that isn't, I guess, RAV and RSBN and fucking Flashpoint fake news all the time, and basically openly threatens everybody in the back, while they're there. Oh, it's a lot of lights turned off. They're enemy of the people. Like, Jesus Christ. How long before one of these motherfuckers at one of your rallies follows them to the parking lot? Do you understand how dangerous it is? Oy. Anyways, here we go. So this is about the bloodbath comment. Now, I mentioned this to some people, but I was kind of busy during it, and I think Johnny and I talked about it maybe even before the show, that Trump's bloodbath thing was meant to be, like, he was saying it's going to be a bloodbath economically, is the theory. That's what he was talking. He was talking about car manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. But he intentionally left it vague-ish to make it controversial in this regard. Like, he could have clarified. He could have at one point gone, bloodbath, I mean, financially, like, yeah. That's where he was going. But he liked the term saying bloodbath about Mexico and America to kind of allow it to taint the conversation. So the idea that it was an innocent statement is bullshit. It's also wrong to say he was talking about Mexicans it's going to be a bloodbath because of murder in America, because he was literally using that as cover. He was weaving this in. He was trying to slip this in the way he wanted to. He wanted this comment to go viral the way it did, right? Okay, so let's be abundantly clear. Now, Stank is very mad, I think, and I'm pretty sure this is what this, because it says bloodbath hoax. So I'm guessing that's what he jumps on. Let's go.
The mainstream media proved to me over the weekend that a legitimate...
That you aren't a part of it. Mainstream being popular, trusted, on real networks, sure.
Media and unbiased media, journalism in America. Mainstream media proved to me all of that is dead. So let's go through this piece by piece so you have the weapons you need.
Yes, the weapons you need to fight back against the terms like bloodbath in normal conversation. You know, the weapons you need to fight back against people misusing terms like bloodbath.
To go back to your offices and be prepared to talk to your liberal lunatics that says President Trump...
Your offices? I guess it can't be Thanksgiving all the time.
Trump is calling for a civil war. This is the weaponized, without context clip of President Trump's bloodbath comments.
If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
See?
Now, what he's going to do is defend him for saying he said bloodbath in terms of our auto workers and our jobs. It's going to be a bloodbath in terms of jobs. No, what Trump was saying was it's going to be a bloodbath and the car shit's going to be the least of our worries. It's pretty clear from that. And even we'll see if he shows the bigger version of it. That's exactly what he's talking about. What he means is it's going to be a bloodbath. We won't even worry about jobs and factories and all the shit I was terrible at fixing for America. It's just going to be a bunch of Mexicans murdering everybody. That's what he's talking
That's what they play. And then all the left-wing lunatics on Twitter and beyond start tweeting that out, or X, whatever you want to call it.
I call it Molly.
Who jumps onto it? The mainstream media outlets. Look at these headlines, by the way. I mean, this was like right after NBC News. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses the elections. CBS News. In Ohio rally, Trump says there'll be a bloodbath if he loses the election.
He did.
Rolling Stone. Trump says there will be a bloodbath. Do you see what happens here?
Yes, there are a lot of headlines that you didn't even show the whole headline for that mentioned that he said there would be a bloodbath if he doesn't get elected, which he did say. And in any of those areas where they might have done a yeah, but in paragraph 3 to kind of explain it out a little bit, still, if you listen to what he said, he means there's going to be a bloodbath anyways because of the border and all that kind of shit, so jobs won't matter. But this asshole is going to go, that's not what he said at all. That's not what he said. He said bloodbath about in terms of the job market, right?
They use this by lies, lying by omission, by taking it all out of context.
Oh, it's terrible. Well, that's one of the reasons, asshole, why when I cover his rallies, I do the whole thing. So you guys can't accuse me of that. And by the way, he said shit like that all the time. There's a bunch of times where he hasn't said that, like, I mean, that asshole literally says, we're not going to have a country anymore. What the fuck do you think he means by that? Half the time he's talking about Constitution will be destroyed or shredded, even though he's the only person who's brought up getting rid of it in the last 10 fucking years since, I don't know, fucking who? Reverend Some Young Moon or some rando psycho person that ran in the 80s, maybe? I don't know. And the rest of the time he's talking about migrants.
Folks, this is deceitful.
Oh, terrible.
It amounts to propaganda. It most certainly is fake news. That's what President Trump has dumped it. Now, here is my...
That's what he's dumped it? He's dumped it like that? Or what kind of dumps are we talking about?
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
He's dumped it? Why would you dump it like that?
Of context. Folks, this is deceitful. It amounts to propaganda. It most certainly is fake news. That's what President Trump has dumped it. Now, here.
Yeah, that's what he's dumped it.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
You know, in all fairness, Stank knows Trump personally, and he knows that more than likely 3 times during that speech, he shit his pants. So that it could, I mean, that's got to be weird when it's lingering in the back of your head all the time when you're talking about your friend who you know shits himself all the time, and you're like, don't mention that he poops.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Stop it!
Here is my analysis of all of this.
Great. That's what I've been waiting for. Haven't you been waiting for it? Give it to us, Stank.
It will most certainly backfire on the mainstream media. Thankfully,
Why? Asshole, let me tell you a little something about Trump that you should know. That if at some point there was a moment where he could get in an interview and go, I said bloodbath and I meant this in an interview, and they should face repercussions. They should be ashamed of themselves. And this is terrible that they would take that when I was talking about an economic number. I was clearly saying it, and they would ruin my. The way they would try to, I don't know, intimidate or scare the public into not voting for me because of this out of context thing. Even if there was a moment where he managed to kind of shoehorn this bullshit into an interview, in the same fucking interview, he'd call human beings vermin and say the poisoning the blood of our country shit again, and he would all but fillet Vladimir Putin on camera. There's no way this asshole can fix anything because he'll fuck it up in the same 10 minutes.
Conservatives jumped into action yesterday. Even I did an emergency podcast.
Did you? You do realize, say what you will about me as a proud Biden voter, and I sure as fuck am. At no point do I have to do an emergency podcast to cover his ass over something. Emergency podcast. Oh, good for you. Good. I'm glad you're in the middle of dinner with your family and you're like, fuck this fam, the bat signal's up. The stank signal is in the air. Okay, fucking Mike. All right, get a new graphic up. Give me a good thumbnail, Charlie. Let's roll this out. Okay, people are attacking Donald Trump because he said bloodbath and he meant it in a way that was only close and marginal to the welcome to the Stankville podcast.
On this, to start spreading the word about the bloodbath hoax. Now, let me play for you the entire clip so you
I don't think this is going to help you much.
Hear it. This is him talking about.
By the way, why would you have to do? Wouldn't his own people, most of the people who watch Stank or listen to his shit, they don't give a fuck. Half of, I would say that, bullshit, half. 99% of the people who watch this asshole show or watch Trump himself, or both, do think it will be a bloodbath, know exactly what the fuck he's talking about, and don't care.
The economic ramifications.
What do you think? Quick, I need to do an emergency podcast for all the sorority moms in the suburbs who will misunderstand.
Of China and electric cars and Joe Biden's environmental policies.
Oh, okay.
You know, Mexico has taken over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it, went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico.
Gee, why would they even do that unless there was a loophole in the USMCA that you negotiated that would allow them to sell cars into North America, getting in under the radar of the USMCA? Gee, it's almost as if some kind of, China-friendly dumbass negotiated that thing. It's weird.
Mexico, and they think.
Did he say Mexico? Hold on.
our country. Think of it. Went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
Right. That'll be the least of it. The whole car shit I was just talking about is nothing compared to the fact that Mexicans are going to fucking murder us all. That's exactly what he was talking about. Don't. See? I showed you the clip. He's talking about electric cars and China and all that stuff, and then at the end, when he could have been making an economic message and saying that's absolutely not, and just kept his fucking mouth shut and rolled on to the next talking point, he throws in this, there's going to be a bloodbath and that's the least of it, meaning I'm talking about insane people coming across the border.
Now you tell me, folks, if you're intellectually honest, what is President Trump talking about? You think
he's talking about Mexicans and migrants and people coming across from insane asylums and all the shit he was talking to earlier, which is in a greater context to the entire speech, which is something he mentions all the fucking time. That's what he's talking about. That's what the bloodbath is about. The bloodbath is that. It's not even about the fucking Civil War part of it. He means fucking people coming across the southern border to murder us all. That's what he means. And fucking electric cars, blah, blah, blah. That's nothing.
he's talking about a civil war? Republicans taking the streets, shooting Democrats, hanging them?
No, he's talking about migrants, motherfucker.
Come on. Of course not. He's talking about a bloodbath that even Webster's dictionary describes as one definition of a bloodbath is a devastating economic event.
Well, I think bloodbath would be contextual to whatever you were talking about, you know. Like, I was shaving in the tub, which is always a mistake, and it was a bloodbath. No, it's a, it's like saying you lost your shirt on something. You could attach it to anything.
That's what he's talking about there.
No, it's not what he's talking about.
There?
No, he's not. He's talking about there's way worse shit coming from Mexico than Chinese cars. That's what he meant.
But that's not what the mainstream media did, because they're so afraid of this man.
Why would they do that? Couldn't be because his followers fired guns at the Capitol when they tried to or built fucking gallows.
They can't use the truth. They've got to lie, lying by omission, as I said, by not telling the context.
Not telling the context? Why don't you play the rest of it where it goes on and on about migrants? Because that would contextualize it some, wouldn't you think?
Watch them in action.
A major party candidate is saying, you elect me, there's going to be dictatorship, bloodbath.
He was talking about a bloodbath. Sometimes a bloodbath means a bloodbath.
Trump warning while discussing the economy that there would be a, quote, bloodbath if he is not reelected in November.
When the former president says that there's going to be a bloodbath after the election if he does not win.
It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it.
Are any of those people being intellectually honest?
Are you showing their entire clips? Are you being intellectually honest with the entirety of their conversation? And that the majority of those conversations actually spoke to listening to the man as a whole, not to one particular point in the speech? And if you do, you know that when he said it's going to be a bloodbath if we don't get elected, and that'll be the least of it, he means the economic shit doesn't matter. This is actual bloodbath. That's what he fucking means.
He said there's going to be a dictatorship.
Yes, he said it. Sean Hannity tried to salvage it, you dumb motherfucker. I'm going to be a dictator for one day. Bullshit.
You hear that out of President Trump words? Of course not.
I beg. Did you hear that out of President Trump words? Hold on. Did I hear that out of President Trump words?
Are any of those people being intellectually honest? He said there's going to be a dictatorship. You hear that out of President Trump words? Of course not. All of them are
also,
fake.
Like, this reminds me of like fucking where was it? Pat Gray, I think, the other day, who didn't know that, one of Trump's quotes, it was really obvious. I'm blitzing on which one it was, but it was like one of the ones that they should obviously fucking know. Let's see. Yeah. Trump, I won't be a dictator except for day one. I don't even know. I don't even have to share it with you fucking guys. You know, this is just dumb. Jesus Christ. Do you watch this motherfucker? He's your guy.
News, devious, deceitful propagandists that only work for the Democrat Party.
Especially that one. Yeah. That's the worst. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, Fox works for Democrats the way Alex Jones works for the Illuminati.
Certainly they don't work for us. It is our challenge. Well, who pounced into action right after this?
Only the heroes.
Nancy Pelosi did. Watch Nancy Pelosi push the bloodbath hoax.
Because he's even predicting a bloodbath. What does that mean? He's going to exact a bloodbath? There's something wrong here. How respectful I am of the American people and their goodness. But how much more do they have to see from him to understand that this isn't what our country is about? Praising Hitler.
By the way, which he did. Why'd you cut off when he started praising Hitler? You got a problem with praising Hitler? Please tell me he goes, where did that ever happen?
No, she goes on to list a whole group of lies about praising Hitler, Russia collusion hoax, all this kind of nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I mean, at base, for fuck's sake, he did. His own wife said he had a copy of Hitler's speeches by his bedside.
She is just as deceitful. She talks about the American people are good people. She's not one of them, folks, at all.
Well, she is an American person. I think you kind of have to be speaker, don't you? You have to be a citizen, pretty sure.
She is supposed to be an elected leader in this country.
She is actually an elected leader in this country. Not even supposed to be. She has been for quite some time.
And yet she pushes the lies as well. But you know what she's doing? She's engaging in a tactic.
Oh, dear. Not a tactic.
It's a political game. It's warfare.
Oh, what? So you're saying someone says something about someone else that isn't true and uses it, it weaponizes that language against them to get them, to vilify them, like Crooked Hillary or some, or Little Marco or any of that shit, or lying about Democrats killing babies after they're born or something. You mean that on that level, or?
She knows it. The Democrats never play fair.
Boo. Suck it up, Buttercup. What the fuck are you talking about? Never play fair.
In fact, they have a word for this, a name for this. The wrap-up smear campaign.
Oh, that's a word? Wrap-up smear campaign? It seems like a couple of words. Hold on. Run that by me again?
She knows it. The Democrats never play fair. In fact, they have a word for this, a name for this. The wrap-up smear campaign.
The wrap-up smear campaign. I honestly got, yeah, Susan, I've never heard of this. Chat room, that's your new band name, Water and After. All right, chat room. Anybody ever heard of the wrap-up smear campaign? The what? Hold on. I'm going to look it up. Let's see. Wrap-up smear campaign. Admit Democrats use a tactic called the wrap-up smear. Just, okay, fact check. Called the, again. Oh, so that would be what someone calls it, the technique used against Justice Brett Kavanaugh. A version of the clip was shared in hyper. Okay, so this is what he's referring to. It's not the wrap-up smear campaign. It's just called a wrap-up smear. Hold on one second. This would be what he's talking about. This is on Snopes. Did Nancy Pelosi admit Democrats use a tactic called the wrap-up smear? Unreliable sources claim Pelosi admitted on video the Democrats use such a tactic, but in reality, she ascribed it to Republicans. What do you know? What a shock. Claim. In a C-SPAN video, U.S. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi revealed that Democrats use a political smear tactic she called the wrap-up smear. Miscaptioned. President Trump's second nominee to the U.S. Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, was confirmed by the Senate in October 2018 after a contentious hearing. Kavanaugh's accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, testified under oath he had sexually assaulted her at a party in 82, an accusation the nominee vehemently denied. All along, partisan supporters of Kavanaugh have portrayed Dr. Ford as a dupe at best in an alleged conspiracy by Democrats to derail a nomination by smearing his reputation. The day Kavanaugh was confirmed, a video clip began making rounds. They could allegedly be heard revealing the Democratic Party's template for such attacks, a tactic she called the wrap-up smear. A version of the clip also appeared on hyperpartisan websites such as InfoWars, where it accompanied an article saying that Pelosi's description was eerily similar to what we saw happen to Justice Brett Kavanaugh. This we call the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it, Pelosi said at a press conference last year. Oh, yeah, so she said it. Was it a hot mic? And then you write it, and then they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that it is this, 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 and this. So you have that validation, the press report, the smear. And then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear we made. That sounds eerily similar to what the clips are authentic in respect to that they were extracted from an actual C-SPAN video of Pelosi's press briefing on 2017, but seriously misleading in the respect that they were trimmed in such a way to omit her original context. Stank, man. You can't, in your Democrats are fucking with your context thing. Fuck with the context, dude. As the longer clip and transcript clearly show, Pelosi was calling out Republicans for conducting wrap-up smear campaigns, not touting the phenomenon as a go-to strategy for Democrats. Because basically, at the end of the day, that's what people are interested in, their representatives and what their representatives are doing for their district. Republicans are afraid of that contrast in a race because they're going to go there to be involved in trickle-down economics, shutting down hospitals, the rest of it. So they don't want to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. It's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. You want to talk about politics? It's called the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it, and you write it, and then they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, this, and this. So they have the validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called a wrap-up smear. Now, I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. It's a tactic, and it's self-evident. She's talking about Republicans doing this. In fact, this wasn't the first time she brought up the term wrap-up smear, specifically to describe Republican political tactics. In March 6, 2017, exchange between Pelosi and CNN news anchor Jake Tapper, she claimed President Trump used such a smear tactic against former President Barack Obama. Well, the president, is the deflector in chief, anything to change the subject from where the heat is. And on one, he's engaged in intelligence, a member of the Gang of Eight for a long time. I can tell you it's just ridiculous for President Trump, to say that President Obama would never order any wiretap of an American citizen, would ever order any wiretap of an American citizen, any president. That's just not, we don't do that. And so it's called a wrap-up smear. You make up something, then you have the press write about it, and then you say everybody's writing about this charge. It's a tool of authoritarian just to have you always be talking about what you want them to be talking about. Rather than Russia, we're talking about, did President Obama do thus and so? We're unable to find any instance of Pelosi stating or advocating that Democrats use such a tactic. Well, Stank, I gotta say, man, I don't mean to curb stomp your report here, buddy, but...
How do I know what the wrap-up smear campaign is exactly?
Because Republicans engage in it all the time, and she was pointing out
what they did to President Trump yesterday. I know this because Nancy Pelosi spelled it out a couple of years ago. Listen to her in her own words describe exactly.
Oh, wait. She's describing in her own words exactly what you just did?
Exactly what she pushed yesterday.
We call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
It's self-evident that Trump is doing it.
See how she said it's a tactic. It's interesting because she pulled back the curtain. It most certainly is a tactic, the wrap-up smear. Notice she says you smear somebody with falsehoods. That's what this whole idea of President Trump calling for some kind of a Civil War bloodbath, it's false.
Oh, hold on. Now, I can understand why Nancy Pelosi, who was present on January 6th, would hear bloodbath coming from this dickhead and go, oh, fuck, man. He's trying to get his people riled up and attack us again. Holy shit. That's how she's going to hear it. Other folks that are listening very carefully to the shit he talks about the border are going to hear it's about, migrants coming across the bloodbath of migrants coming across the border, which I think is actually what he's saying. And then there are going to be some people who think because he's trying to drive his supporters to attack again, that it's going to be a civil war kind of thing. But, Republicans killing Democrats and the like. I get how she heard it that way. I think she misheard it in that regard, but I don't think she's just redirecting it, because I got news for you. It's just as valuable to her message if she portrayed it the way I'm talking about it that was right. I think she genuinely said that's how she hears it.
Good. She said you merchandise it. You know who merchandised it? Nancy Pelosi did. She put it out there for all the world to see, and then what happened? The mainstream media grabbed it, they wrote about it, and then the politicians come back in and they push out all those articles that I told you. They merchandise it. They legitimize it. Legitimize a bogus falsehood story.
Which, by the way, required this dickhead and his network, and I guess whatever podcasting platform he's on, to do emergency reports doing damage control for Donald Trump. That, by the way, if you sat down Donald Trump and asked him, do you mean there'd be a bloodbath of migrants coming across the border if these people get there? He'll go, absolutely. He would absolutely double down on that.
This is what you get from Democrats, folks. You want to elect Biden back in, you're going to get more of the wrap-up smear.
From Republicans. What the fuck do you think the Hunter Biden bullshit is? You don't actually think there's a laptop, do you? You don't actually think that's a real laptop, right?
Now, they didn't do it just once to President Trump over the weekend from that Daytona rally.
And you know what's weird is that I don't even know how they managed to do it, because Donald Trump has all the best words. So how in the fuck do people ever manage to read him out of context? It's like it's like his silly, his perfect calls. You know what I mean? He seems to have all these perfect calls that are incredibly easy to impeach him with. If it was a really good call, you could probably squeeze a little bit of shit out of it and manipulate it. But if it was a perfect call, and again, the only person who says a perfect call is somebody who's trying to say something criminal and they know legally they managed not to say any of the buzzwords. I threatened him without actually verbalizing the threat directly. It was perfect. That's the only way you ever talk about a perfect fucking call. Ever. Yeah, who does Kathleen have the laptop right now? Who has the laptop currently? Because I was looking for it this weekend, and I knew I had it for a little while, but then I got busy, and it just appeared. But, I mean, how does this motherfucker end up getting, misquoted like he's worried about, or his words used against him if he has the best words?
I know words. I had the best words. An anonymous, really an anonymous criminal. Look, wait.
Okay.
Dayton rally. They did it twice.
Oh, terrible.
There's this idea that he called migrants not human. They're not people, they're animals.
Uh-huh.
Well, he said that about some migrants, but not just any migrants. He said that about prisoners that were being let out of Venezuelan jails.
Which he says is the entirety of the people crossing the border. He's saying all the same shit he said in 2016. He's saying all the same shit, except and some I assume are good people. That he's totally. Oh, okay. Paula's got it. Okay, thank you, Paula. Yeah, no, just hang on to it. I got too many. I got a lot of cleaning up around here to do. I even had to order a new shelf. Oh, by the way, I have a special treat for you guys on Friday morning. I think Tara's going to be our guest. I got to make sure. I don't want to screw with Andrea, who's doing the yeoman's work of trying to organize my silly little guests. Excellent. But I think Tara can be on our second hour on Friday, and then Rob Glenn's going to be with us on for Friday AI on the first hour, because there's so much shit going on tech-wise. Like, I swear to God, in a year, all of this stuff, after Biden gets reelected, by the way, all of this stuff is going to be the least of our fucking worries. The world is going to get so crazy so fast, and already is, and I want you guys to be ahead of it. I want you to be ahead of the curve so you're comfortable when this happens. And so Rob's super bright and wonderful, and he's a lovely guy, and he's from Chicago, so I feel good about that in general. And has been a great supporter of the show over the years, too. So I wanted to have him on to talk about that stuff to maybe help me not be so wonky in my talk about this stuff, because there's so many changes happening so fast. We're going to address that. And also, I have a show and tell at the end of the show, so stick around. Also, like and subscribe and thing that I forget to say. Right, here we go.
Coming here, and MS-13 gang members, those are the people that he said are not human beings.
Yeah, Trump does basically the opposite of what Hamas is doing right now. According to Hamas, there are no Hamas fighters being killed. Everyone who's been killed, half of them are kids, the other half are women, and innocent old men or something. But they haven't lost a single soldier. Nobody who has died has been in the process of fighting, right? So Hamas does this whole story. Nobody who gets killed is an actual Hamas militant fighter or whatever. Trump is doing the exact opposite. Everybody who comes across the border is an invading force, is an invader, not somebody seeking asylum, by the way, from countries that, many of them socialist countries, and they want to come to a capitalist country because they feel safer and better about it, which you'd think he'd support in some ways, which he did actually, because he signed off on Venezuelans coming to the country, right? That was the whole thing. And then a bunch of them come here. One of them was the guy who killed the woman in Georgia that everybody's talking about. He's a Venezuelan. He was here on that special grant that started under Trump and was continued under Biden because people were fleeing Venezuela because of tar or something. But Trump is saying that everybody who comes across the border is a terrorist gang member from an insane asylum.
These are not people, but this is the without context soundbite you got from the mainstream media.
If you call them people, I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion, but I'm not allowed to say that because the radical left says that's a terrible thing to say. They say you have to vote against him because did you hear what he said about humanity? I've seen the humanity, and these are bad. These are animals, okay?
He's talking about MS-13 gang members.
Why didn't you show him talking about MS-13 gang members? Why didn't you say that? Why didn't you got time? It's your fucking show, Stank. Back the fucking clip up, buddy. Right? Show the top part where he's talking about MS-13. Make him make that distinction, you dumb motherfucker, and he doesn't. He doesn't. The rest of the time he's talking about, like, we're going to have huge, these people there's terrorists coming across the border and they're going to be terrible. That's what the bloodbath shit is about. He's talking about these same fucking people. Same shit.
Talking about the worst Venezuela and El Salvador have to offer. That the leaders of those countries are literally letting the prisoners out and sending them to America.
Which is nonsense. Has anybody... Look. All right. Fucking hell. Okay. They're letting him out of jail, are they? Hold on. This is New York Times. Hold on. Let me just get out of here. Quit. Get out of here. Show full article. Yeah, here you go. So, I want to see if they got the pictures of the dudes in the jails. Yeah, they don't have it in this article. Real quick. Let's see. El Salvador gangs prison. Yeah, that'll. Okay. Yeah, here you go. Shit. Real quick. Here you go. So here's El Salvador is not letting their guys out of jail. This is what's going on in El Salvador. See these dudes, all of them head tattoos, face tattoos, right? Like, all these guys are part of, like, violent gangs, drug gangs particularly. And they're not letting any of these motherfuckers out. That's the whole story. It's so odd, but it's the exact opposite of what he's saying. The argument is they're locking up too many people, then if you're even tacitly involved in one of these gangs, they're locking you up. And they're running them around and they're fucking they're bussing them. A fleet of buses take the 2,000 suspected gang members to the new prison. Suspected. You don't even have to actually be. I mean, look, most of these guys have the fucking gang numbers tattooed on their chest. So like the minute you know who they're with, have them have it on their fucking face. So like, of course they're part of the gang. Suspected it's not like they caught them hanging out. Like, they look like this. That's what I'm talking about, right? Prisoners were stripped down to white shorts with their heads shaved. Many had gang tattoos. Yeah, many? All of them. These dudes had, many of them, you could say many of them had gang face tattoos. Holy shit. Like, have you seen any of this stuff? There's tons of it. There was a report, I want to say, is it New York Times? Yeah, so this is New York Times. New York Times did an article. They're adorable. El Salvador decimated its ruthless gangs, but at what cost? Well, obviously no cost, because they're just putting them on buses and sending them to the United States. That's clearly what's happening, according to Stank. I mean, but this is, of course, mainstream media, so what the fuck do we know? In the years since El Salvador declared a state of emergency, the government has delivered a stunning blow to the gangs that were once the ultimate authority in much of the country. When the MS-13 ran the neighborhood of La Margaritas, one of its strongholds in El Salvador, there were rules you had to follow to stay alive. You couldn't wear the number 8 because it is associated with the rival 18th Street Gang. You couldn't wear the brand of sneakers the gangsters wore. You could not, under any circumstances, call the police. Now, let me guess. These folks, Natalie Kitroeff and the people who are writing this for the New York Times and the editor are going to write this as some of the stuff that the El Salvador government did was very undemocratic in their process. Yes, but only to the gang members. The other people had no democratic rights, even though technically, in terms of the government, they did, because the gangs ran everything. Now, check this out. People couldn't complain to the police because of what the boys would say. They became the authority in this system. So the gangs were running stuff. Nobody had any rights at all. And if they wanted to kill you, they would. Sandra Elizabeth Ingles at her juice stand, not far from her home in Las Margaritas. She said, gang members were once the authority in the town. Lovely lady and her juice stand and the kids hanging around or whatever. This is probably preferable, I would guess, to the situation where this dude was running the neighborhood. This lady has a juice stand, or this dude is in jail. These are your choices. The neighborhood of La Compañera in the municipality of Soyapango, near El Salvador's capital, the neighborhood was once controlled by the 18th Street Gang. And now there's a kid in the swing. Just say it. It's this, or it's this. These are your choices. You have this in El Salvador. You have this, or you have this. Now, who the fuck thinks that El Salvador would take these motherfuckers and drive them to the edge of their territory, to the border of El Salvador, and said, bye, go to America, don't come back? You think they would listen? You think they're not going to turn right around and just kill whoever turned them in, or kill the cops in the area or some shit? What the fuck is going to keep them out? It's nuts. So, yeah, the kid's cute. But this motherfucker thinks that these guys, El Salvador is going to let them out and trust them to leave. And that these guys are coming to the border and we can't spot their MS-13 face tattoos. Jesus Christ.
He said he knows these leaders. He knows what they're up to.
He knows what they're up to. Well, he knows what they're up to. Are they upping to things? Yes. For to have. He knows what they are up to.
But they don't play that for you, do they?
He says that all the time. He's talking out of his ass. Why would they?
Here is the entire clip of what he said about that.
Cool.
But I got to know all these people. They're very smart, very streetwise. And
yes, and it's not very smart or very streetwise to take 3,000 gang members and just release them into the country next door and say, walk to America or else, because they're not going to listen. They're going to come back and fucking kill you.
I would do the same thing if I had prisons that were teeming with MS-13 and all sorts of people that they've got to take care of.
You do. You do, you dumb motherfucker. I don't know what's... American jails are like at least 40 federal penitentiaries, 40% prisons. No, sorry, listen to me. 40% 40% of federal prisoners are gang members. I can speak. I was in airports all day yesterday. I'm sleepy. But what you'll notice is I didn't try to pretend that I said it right and just move on. Because I'm a grown person. As silly as I am, I at least, furniture and future.
The next 50 years, right? Young people, they're in jail for years. And if you call them people, I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion. But I'm not allowed to say that because the radical left says that's a terrible thing to say.
Well, we learned a very valuable lesson from Kirk before, his heart was changed about the Klingons. Initially, they're animal spark. It was a growth arc we all watched. They killed my son, And if he can grow, can't we all?
Say you have to vote against him because did you hear what he said about humanity? I've seen the humanity, and these are bad. These are animals, okay?
I've seen the humanities and these humanities.
And we have to stop it. We can't have another Lakin.
Can't have another Lakin Riley. A poor nursing student murdered at the hands of an animal.
Who got in on a special dispensation that was written up during the Trump administration that allowed Venezuelans to get to the front of the line because they were escaping socialism, and Trump has a hard-on about socialism. Well, not much of one, obviously. It's more like a sad semi.
Unhuman being who came here that had been arrested more times than I can count.
Really? You can't count to 6?
Animals.
Actually, you know what? Touche. He probably can't.
Thugs. Violent goons. You want them roaming the streets now?
No. That was the end of it? He was just getting to his point. Now, I gotta say, the people at RAV hate Stank. Look at this. Now, what a shitty way to end your show.
That had been arrested more times than I can count.
Not me doing this.
Animals. Thugs. Violent goons. You want them roaming the streets now?
Now, somebody at Stankfeld was like, at Real America's Voice, like, okay, enough. He's not saying anything. I don't know what the fuck. We're wasting a lot of bandwidth with this asshole's clips. I just think it's a mistake. I mean, did you get what he was saying? I mean, honestly, I think like he dug the hole deeper. It was a waste of fucking time. And I honestly, I want to cut the clip off just because I'm tired of looking at his fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit villain head. The dip! So, yeah. So Stank was very upset that apparently El Salvador is taking all these guys and has, using quantum field theory, has allowed them to be in jail and here at the same time. Yes, end emergency podcast. That's right. All right. So thank you, chat. How you doing? Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. All right. Now, obviously, I caught something live. Now, usually in this situation, our dear friend, great edits over there. I know, CSL. It's so weird. I mean, I'm sure, Can't Stop Line, you have a hard time sometimes finding the cutoff point in my rambles. Bless your heart. But, like, they just don't seem to give a shit. I gotta say. Like that. Fuck it. Just stop it. Stop. I'm done. At times. Right, fine. All right. I tried to give you a tight ending on the last one, right? Did you notice then? I felt almost a personal responsibility. I'm going to try. Everybody remind me at the end of when I'm doing a clip to do a hard out of something before I move on to the next one so it makes it easier for Can't Stop Lying to figure out when the fuck I'm done talking. And the answer is never. Never. So I caught a piece of this live. I just wanted to jump in and look at this. So sometimes when I'm about to do the show, I'll be looking through the clips that CSL's put in, and if I haven't seen them, then I'll move them over to where we can talk about them. I'll put them in my browser so we can get to them. And sometimes when I'm doing that, there'll be a Rumble clip or something, and I'll check it out on there, or if I'll see if there's a YouTube version of it, if it's a thing, because sometimes they're quiet or loud, and it's not anything we can do about it. Sometimes that's the only version. And I don't want CSL to have to do all that hunt down. But I was like scrolling through. I was looking for Trump had just put out something. I think it was on Truth Social, or it was one of the ones that he puts in fundraising emails and that kind of stuff. They'll put a video in those emails, and it's hosted on Rumble. But a lot of times it's unlisted or hidden or some shit like that. Sometimes they fuck around and they put it up there, and I can grab it while it's up there. And so I'll peek over there to see if it's there. And while I was there, War Room was live. So this is in the middle of, this is the best he's ever going to look. This is Steve Bannon's War Room. Yeah, where would our side get the idea that that these assholes, when he says bloodbath, he might mean it, when their fucking show's called Pandemic War Room, by the way. What the fuck? And then just War Room. They just dropped the pandemic part and just started calling it the War Room. This asshole in his fucking Navy lingo, tip of the spear and blah, blah, blah. Oi. But this was what they were talking about at the top, and I didn't catch it, like, I forget who he has on, but I want to say a congressperson or somebody. But we'll just jump in. I'm just going to needle drop in this.
Joe Reek and that team will take care of you. You can talk to a consultant, and you can do it today, right when you go to the site. Great company, great products, great service, great
blah, blah, blah.
way to walk you through all of this.
Great big balls of greasy, grimy overcuts, itty bitty birds' feet, mutilated monkey's meat, toasted eyeballs dipped in chicken feet, me without my spoon.
Congressman Burchett, the War Room posse, particularly.
Yeah, okay, so this is Congressman Burchett from, I'm going to go with a state with fewer people than Las Vegas.
After today, Peter Navarro gets sent to prison for a misdemeanor.
Okay, that was enough. That was good. For a misdemeanor. Well, trying to flee on a misdemeanor.
We're ready for a fight, and we want to fight over this budget. People are outraged at this border. For all the happy talk and all tapping along, the border's more open. 7,000 a day are being processed through.
Well, 7,000, it's interesting because with the border bill, if it got to 5,000, Biden could have shut it down. Sounds like you guys own it. It sounds like to me, Republicans own this fucking border now. Because if that's the complaint, that 7,000 people are coming across, the number was 5. You motherfucker were like, 5? That's too many. But 7, that's fine? That you're just going to let that keep happening? Because why? The extra 2,000? What if the terrorist that was in there is in the other 2,000? What kind of chance you want to take? Or anybody who would have come after the number reached 5,000, that's on you, motherfuckers.
Than it's ever been. Haiti's going to collapse, and wait, American troops are going to be down there. They're going to be escorting hundreds of thousands of Haitians here, the good old United States of America. People are ready for a fight.
With Haitians?
So how do we do it? What's your...
First of all, what the fuck does that have to do with the border? Honest to God, that whole little bizarre, dystopian future story absolutely circumvents the border issue.
Guidance for us this week on this budget.
I would go out and get people registered to vote, and I would hold your people accountable. And when you talk to your representatives, let them know.
Yeah, let them know, because I'm surrounded by people who think I am full of shit.
No, you're going to be watching how they vote. Tell them, no border, no budget. Every town is a border town.
No, it isn't.
We've just seceded is all we've done. And now we've got Haiti, and of course we're going to have the people from...
Seceded? We've just seceded is all we've done?
Gaza over here that Egypt and the Saudis don't want. And
oh, you mean the nonviolent ones?
It's going to get brutal. It is going to get a lot worse before Election Day. But this is what happens.
Tennessee 2nd District.
Happens when 20 million of y'all decide to stay home because...
Yeah, you dumb fucking Nikki Haley voters, man. Y'all are going to stay home, and we're all going to lose this shit because of you motherfuckers. Yeah, you are.
You don't like a tweet that President Trump gave.
Nah, I don't think it's the tweet. I think it's the whole being found guilty of fraud and losing his ability to even operate a charity in New York, much less run the fucking government.
He is going to be the only person who can turn this around.
Why? What the fuck is wrong with the Republican Party? I don't fucking get it. You could run, you fucking moron. If you believe everything he believes in, but you don't do the fucking ugly tweets, why can't you get elected, dipshit? Why is that? That makes no... Look, maybe I'm spoiled because Democrats have a deep bench and a good president. But what the fuck? Why? Why him? Why is he the only person? What's the fucking magic sauce? He couldn't get an infrastructure bill passed. He didn't know what the fuck to do once COVID showed up. Right? Why? What the shit? Why aren't any of you capable of doing the job? I don't get it. I'll tell you why. Because they won't elect you. Because it's a cult. It has nothing to do with his capability. They just think the fucking God shines through this dipshit because they're fucking crazy. But there's not a single reason why, on a material level, any of these other fucking maggots couldn't run that are already in the House or the Senate. Why can't you win against this motherfucker? Why is he the only part? That makes no... It's not a fucking monarchy, you dumbass. That part drives me nuts, as you can clearly see. I don't understand it. Why the shit would it boil down to one fucking person in a democracy that has a functioning party? If the Republicans are a functioning party, then they should have any number of people because they agree on the premise, they agree on the policies. Even the people who disagree might find someone who's better at expressing that point. Good Lord.
And if your congressman doesn't do it, I don't care if they're your brother-in-law. I don't care if you used to date them. They're your next-door neighbor, whatever, your bridge partner. You vote their asses out.
I'm not going to vote out one of my bridge partners. Then what happens next Sunday? I'm going to sit there and eat sweet pickles and fucking ambrosia salad and try to play a real game with them sitting right across the table from me? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, it may be 5 minutes we could be peaceful, but then the doilies would start flying. Bridge partner. Also, yes, please, for God's sake, vote. If you don't like some of these motherfuckers and they don't vote the way you want them to vote, go for it. Vote against them, dum-dum. You got a thin margin and you're telling anybody to take it on the heel and toe, you're a fucking moron. You guys don't have any room to move. You got a 2-vote majority at the end of the day. What the shit? Get the fuck out of here. Hey, I just want to say for a record, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to step in here. But, okay, listen here. I had a bridge partner once, okay? True story. Now, I don't know how to play that card game. I don't even know why they call it bridge. Because building a bridge out of a house of cards would be very dangerous. I would just never walk across it, much less drive my pickup across it, which is a good old, it's a Dodge. It's actually a Ford, but I dodged some of the payments. Still got it. Anyways, so I had a bridge partner, she's this lady I met out there at the saloon, and we would meet under the bridge about twice a month. But I got to tell you, if she could get elected to office, I think we got bigger fish to fry. We got bigger problems. If she could get in there, because I'm just saying she bears a grudge. But I do think that you and she would make a great partner. Because, they have that, what's that phrase? Cut off your buttocks to spite your ass. She's like that. And I'm just saying you two be like birds of a feather. For the record. All right. Thanks, Josh. I made that joke up just now. I'm very happy with it. I had a Dodge truck, but stupid. I'm sorry.
We're going to lose our country. It is.
Dude, you lost your country a long time ago, you fucking suit.
It is past playing nice.
It's past playing nice. Okay, and then they do an ad, and then it jumps back into this shit. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Oh, get him out of here. You stop throwing ads up, you piece of shit. Her. Sick to death of it. Her. All right. Got to jump past. Like, there are so many fucking ads on this show. That's the other thing. Like, on and on. Look at this shit. And it all just reeks of fucking. I guess that was the end of it. I thought he came back on. Nope. Fuck, they just bail and drop. That was it. So they just cut him and went straight to commercial. Is that what's happening on the right now? Are they just kind of like, are the editors of these shows just losing interest? Do their shows end up with just somebody turning over a fucking table in the edit bay and walking away? Like, fuck this, blam. In my day, editors worked hard. They'd take a piece of, they'd take 2 pieces of film and then they'd cut it or a thing and then they'd slip it in a little thing and they'd lay the thing and then they'd stick it together or whatever and then they'd sit there in the back minding their own goddamn business until they saw the cigarette mark up in the corner and they're like, time to change reels. And then they whack, put that over there. Sorry, I hurt my elbow just even telling that story. Get that thing on there and sit there to boot, roll it. And then they'd sit there and mind their own goddamn business for another half hour. That was when people had real jobs. I don't know what the fuck that was, but I enjoyed it. All right. Now, speaking of people who are getting soft in the cranium and hang around with disgusting people at places called the Bernie Sanders on crack. This is the. I want you all to recognize this is not the kind of thing we want. People. Profits are theft. Don't tell me. I'll tell you. Don't tell me. Watch this. I wiggle my finger. It looks like it's flashing through time. Look at that. When I do that on screen, you can tell the frame rate's too low for my finger waggle. Like that. That's how fast people say I'm too old for this, but watch it. Waggle. Look at that. I don't know why it turns green. I have Hulk finger. When I get really angry, my finger turns green. It starts to go wag it too fast, and it turns into Hulk finger. As far as you know. Whatever. Okay. That might be our Bernie from now on. It might be. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So let's jump in here real quick. Also, sorry. Like and subscribe and House Sparks Megaworldwide. And thank you, chat room. And stuff. All right. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Okay. Eddie Murphy, the Jewish guy. Aha. Taste the soup. What? Taste the soup. All right, where's the spoon? Aha. All right, here we go. Let's get back. I got a show to do. I didn't have shows yesterday, so I'm all backed up. You think you're backed up? If I don't have 5 cups of coffee, it'll be a month before my next beat. All right, enough already. Jesus. Okay, here we go. Work with me.
Mike Lindell, you know better than anybody, courage is contagious.
And apparently, so is blind pig ignorance.
They've come after you, and they've come after you hard. Dr. Peter Navarro reports today to prison.
Let's have a. You know what we should have? Hold on. I do need something for this one. Hold on. Because we really can't cover it unless we really. Yeah. Listen here, Steve. We need to do a moment of silence for him. Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, sir?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's sad, but not as sad as me sitting in this unsold mansion at the bottom of the stairs because the rest of the family says I'm only allowed in the foyer.
Courage is contagious, and that's why that's what's been going on for 3 years. And
That's right. Just everybody's got a bad case of courage. That's the big box stores, kicked me to the curb, and then they were followed immediately by Fox News. Courage is contagious. They thought they couldn't do it. Now wait.
Peter's leading the charge on
Yeah, leading the charge right into jail
with his courage and
with his courage and his sentence.
And you guys, it's courage is contagious.
You should say, you know what he should say is, I don't know if you thought about this. Maybe say courage is contagious one more time, because I feel like if you do, you're in danger of waking up another friend of ours, perhaps, possibly. Say courage is contagious one more time, man. Huh? Say courage is contagious. You speak English, motherfucker? Say courage is contagious again.
It's spread everywhere now. We have stuff going on right now. It's
stuff. You got stuff, do you? It's everywhere. I got stuff going on. I got icing. I got sprinkles. Shit, I even have a little waffle cone stuck in the top of my fucking head. You know what I don't have is a bad case of courage that I caught from some dumbass who was kicked to the car. Say courage is contagious another time, motherfucker.
I'm getting calls daily.
I bet you are, from creditors, people who you owe $1.2 billion to.
We're breaking on through, and it's so blatant.
To the other side? What are you, fucking Jim Morrison now? This is just wrong on so many fronts. Well, gosh, break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through. Break on through. Break on through. I am the Pillow King. I'll sell you anything.
And the attacks on everybody. And I like what the gal said there. It's people like yourself, Steve, and Peter standing in way of their attacks on the president. And
no, he's going to be standing in a cell block, I think. Oh, wait, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe he will be. Maybe Trump will go to prison. Navarro will still be there, and I guess Navarro will have been a long timer at that point, and then he can say, This is my booty hole, and he can protect Trump from all the guys who will call him sweet meat.
Our real president, and he's standing in the way of the attacks on all of us.
And he's going to jail. Fuck, what are we going to do now?
And it's but we're winning at every level. And
except the ones where you're not. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of areas where not is the word. Not at all. Not winning. You're not even winning the International Staircase Decorating Awards.
And I'm going to have great...
Mike, yeah, hang on for a second. I know you get, but I get limited.
Yeah, we know you've got something fantastic to say eventually. More than likely something about your lumpy pillows or, that kind of thing. Who could say? It's impossible to even guess. But my
time, and I do want to...
Right. Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass.
All right. Calm down. Don't be a
asshole.
All right.
Talk about the company real quickly. We couldn't get the sheriff on the day. He was tied up, but we put his...
Oh, my God. Was that part of the escape? Was he guarding migrants in Venezuela that snuck out and made their way to the American border? Was he tied up, or was it just kind of a BDSM thing?
I'm going to put his letter out everywhere. He sent a letter to Jordan. Also, another attorney was arrested by U.S. Marshals. Can you just give me a minute on all that? What is it? What does it mean? Because it seems like, and you know me, I'm not a machine guy, although you've brought me a long way, right? I'm a mail-in ballot and phony voter rolls. But
you'll get there.
It just...
you don't know what you're talking about, and you'll get me to the point where I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, well, it seems like things are exploding. Kurt Olson's about to drop a big drop of evidence at the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's a huge. They're not called drops, though, are they? They're called
dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
That's what they are. Yeah, and I think that's what they use to fill up the pillows, right? The lumpy
pillows. Kiss my ass.
Court, you got these things happening in Michigan. What's going on?
In Michigan, I'll tell you guys what's got exposed there by the sheriff there. This stuff started 3 years ago.
And has gone nowhere.
And Stephanie Lambert, this great attorney there, she dug in, and back then working with Matt DePerno, but we've uncovered, the sheriff uncovered emails between Eric Coomer and Dominion and actually Alex Halderman, the expert. This stuff is all public. It's all out there.
Right, which would greatly lower the chances that it was an explosive part of an investigation.
Stephanie released it, I believe, and they arrested her yesterday.
Sorry, that's not funny. It's terrible. It's terrible. They arrested her, a fine American like her. So she, apropos of nothing, released someone's private emails for no particular reason. Is that? Am I generally getting this?
She's basically a political prisoner right now. I mean, this
basically not though.
They don't want you all out there to see any of this. And
people's private emails or private business emails that aren't engaged in any criminal activity.
And you've got that any other time in history, the evidence that just came out there, it's over. All the lawfare should go away. Everything should go away, and the courts should go, hey, we got to save our country. We've got to get to paper ballots, hand counted. We've got to secure our elections. And
yeah, in any other time where, especially in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where they'd be like, we're using computers to count our ballots, and people in the late 1800s would be like, oh, what? We need to use paper. Any other time in history before computers.
But they're going to try and suppress it and attack and attack and attack. They sanction lawyers, and now they're arresting lawyers. I mean, where does it end, everybody?
Well, I think when the whole mob's in jail, really. I mean,
but it just shows for right over target winning.
Right of what? Right of what? Hold on. What did he say there? It just shows right of right of what?
Sanction, and they sanction lawyers, and now they're arresting lawyers. I mean, where does it end, everybody? But it just shows for right over target winning.
Right of. Okay, I'm not going to repeat what I think he said.
And Steve, I want to say one thing to the Supreme Court case.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got to let him talk. He pays for the show, Steve.
Asked me yesterday about the Supreme Court case. If the Supreme Court does not accept them, I talked to Kurt Olson. Absolutely, we're going back to Arizona. That's a
yeah. I think that's a good idea, just to dry out.
Whole other thing, because that when a case gets thrown out on standing, it's like a never-ending thing.
They're giving you Oscar walk-off music there, pal.
This hasn't been thrown out on the merit of any of the evidence, so we're in very good shape, everybody. You're going to see a big report on this tomorrow.
Yeah, it's huge. It's the most important thing in the world, but we really are running out of time because we've got to run ads from you to pay for the rest of this.
Evidence gets put forth.
I'm gonna have you back. I'll have you back on tonight. MyPillow.com, promo code Worm. Go there right now. MyStore.com, promo code Worm. 800-8.
Worm. Promo code Worm. Got it.
731062.
Fabulous. Wait, hold on 1 second. Who was the lady they're talking about?
It seems like things are exploding. Kurt Olson's about to drop a big drop of evidence at the Supreme Court. You got these things happening in Michigan. What's going on?
In Michigan, I'll tell you guys, what's got exposed there by the sheriff there. This stuff started 3 years ago. Stephanie Lambert, this great.
Stephanie Lambert. Okay, yeah, that's who I was thinking. He was talking about. Hold on. Stephanie Lambert, Michigan, if I may. Response to Dominion legally. Basically, she charged, arrested him. There she goes. Okay, we'll open this. And then there's Detroit Free Press. This is 4 hours ago. Yeah, here we go. Let me shrink this down. But this is who he's talking about. Pro-Trump lawyer released from jail after pledging to surrender in Michigan to an election tampering case. She was arrested, by the way, she was arrested in D.C. A judge on Tuesday released pro-Trump lawyer Stephanie Lambert from a Washington, D.C. jail where she was being held as a political prisoner, but apparently was allowed to leave. You know, that's the great thing about America. So we release our political prisoners on their own recognizance. So it's fascinating. It's almost like the way they use that phrase, it doesn't fucking mean anything. After she promised to immediately return to Michigan and surrender to authorities there, where there is a warrant related to her indictment on election tampering charges. D.C. Superior Court Magistrate Judge Heidi Herman released Lambert on a $10,000 bond.
An attorney there.
Shut the fuck up.
She dug in.
Be quiet. Okay. Which she'll need to pay if she doesn't quickly turn herself into Michigan authorities. She was in handcuffs and ankle restraints during the brief hearing in Washington, D.C. The hearing came one day after Lambert's bizarre arrest at the federal courthouse in D.C. She was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals immediately after she participated in a 2-hour hearing in Dominion Voting Systems defamation case against her client, former Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, regarding his 2020-related election lies. That hearing was about Lambert's recent leak of internal Dominion emails, which she obtained through her representation of Byrne while the case is in the discovery phase. But she was arrested due to a warrant in Michigan, which was issued after she failed to appear at 2 recent hearings in her separate criminal case. She was indicted last year in connection with an election system breach, which was one of several indictments in battleground states where Trump supporters tried to prove their election fraud theories. A police affidavit regarding Lambert's arrest described her as a fugitive from the state of Michigan and said an officer from D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department confirmed Tuesday that Michigan will extradite her, according to court filings obtained by CNN. During Lambert's hearing Tuesday, Kevin Irving, an attorney representing her, said there was some confusion between her and her attorneys in Michigan, which led to the bench warrant being issued after she failed to show up at the 2 hearings. Yeah, it was an oversight. It's not like she's a lawyer or she has a lawyer that has a lawyer. I don't think it's something she was running away from, adding that Lambert would get in her car and head to Michigan immediately after being released. Irving, well, that's because they had to, or she'd owe $10,000 and she was going to be kept in jail there. Promise? Promise. Okay. For her to keep Lambert detained, and that Michigan authorities had informed them that they were willing to come to D.C. to pick her up. While releasing Lambert, the judge warned her that she could continue to be arrested over and over again if she didn't promptly surrender in Michigan. We continue to encourage Ms. Lambert to turn herself in as soon as possible to satisfy the bench warrant issued by the Oakland County Circuit Court, which remains unsatisfied. By the way, this is similar to what Navarro went to jail for. At Monday's separate defamation hearing, Lambert admitted she had provided the Dominion emails to Sheriff Dar Leaf. That's the sheriff they're talking about getting arrested. Berry County, Michigan, who was promoted by pro-Trump conspiracy theories. Lambert, Leaf, and their allies have claimed that leaked emails implicate Dominion in election rigging scandal in a conspiracy theory-laden letter to House Republicans on Sunday. Leaf urged them to investigate Dominion and further claimed the leaked emails raised the possibility that Serbian military criminals are running our elections. Serbian military criminals are running our elections. Serbian. Okay, sure. Fuck me. Okay, Dominion denies these wild allegations, as they would, in Serbian. Okay. Spokesperson told CNN on Monday that the company has a small staff presence in Serbia, but insisted that any allegation that Dominion employees anywhere try to interfere with any election is flatly false. Overseeing parts of the defamation case signed, because it's like they have an office there, so that's what it was. Yeah, whatever happened to dead Hugo Chavez? I agree. I thought they were bounced on a Spanish satellite to China, right? And then Chinese people working in the United States printed the ballots so that there would be enough in case of a recount. A right-wing group called Election Integrity Force, was promoted, which promoted baseless conspiracy theories about the 2020 election, posted copies of the leaked Dominion files on its website and claimed without evidence that Lambert's arrest was a calculated effort to intimidate and silence a prominent voice in the movement for electoral reform. From Election Integrity Force, Michigan GOP leaders encourage rule-breaking at poll worker training session. That would be these folks. Hi, Wayne County GOP Chair Cheryl Constantino. Some participants raised concern about being tossed out if they broke the rules. That's why you got to do it secretly, Constantino replied. Oops. Yeah, we don't want people doing shit secretly around our elections. Isn't that what you accuse fucking Democrats of doing, you turds? Oh my God. What a bunch of jackasses. All right, next up, if I may, we did stank. We did and then I think, okay, yeah. So, I don't know if you know this, but thanks, Pam. I don't know if you know this, but apparently Jan 6 didn't happen. And especially the part where, let's see if I could, let's see. I'll show you this real quick. Whoops, quit it. I feel like this next story will require yeah, so we'll get to sedition hunters in a minute, which is hilarious. But I'll let ladies and gentlemen, I apologize ahead of time. I don't. This is Glenn in his hello, I'm Johnny Rash outfit, and my butt is itching. It's itching around the bend, and I can't get my thumb out of my rear end, and I'm stuck in this chair, and Stu is sleeping away. All right, so this is Congressman exposes how Liz Cheney's J6 committee, Liz Cheney's. It's interesting that they are attacking the J6 committee based on Republicans. They're going after the like she started it. It's very weird. Destroyed evidence. And okay. And by the way, what they mean is the videos weren't kept for people who did not, were found not to be criminally liable or whatever, or referenced in their case. They threw out the recorded interviews because it's not evidence anymore. It's nobody's business. And they've got transcripts, but they're not required to like keep the footage and all that kind of stuff. So the idea is that they hid it because you would have seen them like winking at the witnesses or some shit, which is just dumb because it was there and they just didn't bother to watch it. You didn't scour the shit beforehand? They threw it out because these people weren't related to any of the case they ultimately made.
We have Barry Matt Loudermilk on with us.
Barry Matt Loudermilk. Barry Matt Loudermilk over the hill and find it one day on the sunshine. Barry Matt Loudermilk quiet as well and smells it in sunshine.
Barry is a congressman from the great state of Georgia. He is on the House Administration sub.
Yeah, there's music playing in the background that is totally inappropriate to your lifestyle. I take offense.
Committee on Oversight that is currently working to clean up the mess of Liz Cheney and her.
Oh, clean that mess up. And you're doing a great job, by the way. You know how the Republicans are directly responsible for Alexander Smirnov getting arrested, and if they'd have just left well enough alone, they could have used his 1023 as a smear campaign against Biden, but never actually been called on its bullshit, but they had to keep fucking pushing it. Remember that? Okay, let's, through that lens, let's look at how they are handling, if I can give them that much credit, the Jan 6 situation.
January 6 committee. Barry joins us now. Barry, I've got several
Yeah, Matt Loudermilk. That's what he was accidentally saying, Dr.
things I want to cover with you, but let's start with the Liz Cheney thing.
Yeah, let's start. But we're not going to stop there.
You told me on the phone once
that you were wearing just your underpants and a T-shirt, and I didn't believe you.
And I read it in your report that they were.
Nah, I'm going to guess he just told you it was in his report, and you just took it that it was in the report, and you didn't read the report. I'm going to guess he didn't read the report. I think maybe he got somebody in his staff to read this report and give him a breakdown, or even ran it through ChatGPT.
Were informed that they had to turn over all of the records, all of the testimony, and
which they did. They just didn't turn over some of the videos because they had erased them, but the transcripts were there.
And they didn't. In fact,
they didn't keep the videos past the point they needed.
In fact, they tried to delete it. Then they said they didn't know about any other files. Then when you found the files, they were locked, and they said, oh, we don't know anything about a password.
Which they didn't.
That's correct.
Because that was their tech. And the tech is the guy who gave you ultimately gave you the password or allowed you to open it.
And you're right, man.
Is it a, I mean, has that happened before? I mean,
yeah, early 1970s. Yeah, a lot of digital password issues back then.
Is this normal when you switch?
No, it is not normal, and there are
yeah, but it's not normal that the party that was engaged in January 6th takes over the House and starts trying to reframe it as and make their people the good guys.
Clear rules in the House of Representatives of what should be preserved, what has to be preserved, and what you don't have to preserve.
Yeah, I would go with strawberries, boysenberries, raspberries, blueberries, grape, but I don't need lemon preserves, really. I mean, it's nice sometimes, but it's just a little too bitter, and except when you're, I guess in France it works. I'll give it that.
There was, you interviewed somebody that was totally irrelevant. They had nothing to say.
Right, and therefore we have no right to maintain a recording of them that could be misused or taken out of context later. That's part of the agreement that you have.
I mean, you're just like, whoops, we should have never even talked to you. That's something you probably don't have to preserve.
Right.
Especially if you didn't use their testimony.
Right.
But anything that's relevant or exculpatory.
Exculpatory. That's adorable. Oh yeah, you mean all the videos of those people while they're beating police officers on the steps, going, "I'm here for Donald Trump, and I helped build the gallows, and these people get what's coming to them, and we're gonna hang Mike Pence." Psych! And they're probably gonna cut the psych off, aren't they? Okay, everybody get up. This is great. Oh God, I love AI video.
Then, or even, let's say, the transcript or the videos of your interviews are something you definitely have to keep. And we know for a fact, because they admitted, they discarded the thousands of videos because every person they interviewed, they videotaped. And this is extremely important. And of all the information that they didn't keep or they hid or they deleted, these are the most critical.
Why? You have the transcript.
And they totally got rid of all of those videotapes and admitted that they did because they said, hey, you've got the...
Well, maybe they... Videotapes? Really? They lost the videotapes? Maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe somebody walked through the room with a fucking giant magnet. Videotapes. You mean the video files?
You've got the written transcripts of these. Well, first of all, we didn't have all the written transcripts. They sent some to the White House, some to Homeland Security, which we're still working on getting. And
you mean the ones with like Secret Service and other people like that?
There were some documents, and we still don't know what those are, that they deleted from the hard drives. They told us they were giving us 4.5 terabytes of digital data. We got less than 3 terabytes. That's why we.
Aw, that's weird, because like the laptop that was supposedly Hunter Biden's that allegedly had all the files on it had a max 256 gig hard drive on it, and somehow magically the hard drive you guys were passing around has 416 gigs worth of shit on it. I find that odd.
That's why we hired a forensics team to look at these hard drives. Maybe there's something corrupt. Maybe there's something missing. And that's where they recovered these password encrypted documents that have been deleted.
So Barry,
you're right. When I asked the chairman, he says, I don't even know what you're talking about, much less know the password.
So Barry,
which he did. He didn't know what you're talking about. The whole thing was all of it's password encrypted. It's an investigation. So let's assume everything involved in it is password encrypted or eyes only or part of that particular group. They have the right to see it, right? Should we stop fucking pretending that that there's more to this? Why did that happen? Hold on. Check. My audio go down or up that time? That's weird. Let me try to boost it. Somebody was saying, can I be a little louder? This should help. Hey. Yeah, I don't think any of the stuff that they. I honestly, he's mainly talking about shit they don't know exists, as if it does.
If I did this and I was under investigation,
you wouldn't be under investigation. This is somebody who is doing the investigation. You're not under. They're not investigating the January 6th committee. They aren't investigating. They're looking at the materials presented by it. And you know what it's resulting in, Glenn? Do you have any fucking idea? Do you have any fucking idea what's happening as a result of these assholes continue to dig deep? More Jan 6ers are going to jail. That's what. That's fucking what. That's what's going on. You want an example? Hey, remember all that shit about nobody had a weapon? You guys remember that, right? Nobody even had, there were no guns. There weren't any guns there. That's how do you do an insurrection without guns? Nobody even had a gun. Nobody had a gun. There was nobody with a gun. Nobody even knew what a gun was. They were all just innocent maggots that, oh, hey, accused Jan 6 rioter charged with firing a gun during the U.S. Capitol attack. This guy, who's dressed like Cowboy Michael Jackson in this picture, I don't quite know. You've been struck by a smooth maggot. Apparently, he's very friendly with Brent's character Muse. An accused Jan 6 rioter who appears to have twice fired a gun during the 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol was charged Friday, according to reports in court records. John Emmanuel Banuelos was the subject of the NBC News investigation that began 2 years ago when photos and video surfaced of a man with a gun tucked in waistband during the riots. Tucked into his waistband? It just said tucked in waistband. Sure. During the riots, according to reporter Ryan Riley. Last month, Jan 6 rioter Derek Evans, who is now running in a Republican House primary in West Virginia, published previously unseen video that appeared to show that Banuelos actually fired his weapon twice outside the Capitol that day. The report notes, online sedition hunters who have aided the FBI in hundreds of arrests of Capitol rioters and who first sent Banuelos' name to the FBI in February of 2021 quickly surfaced additional footage that, additional footage that confirmed that Banuelos was the man who appeared to have fired the weapon. Banuelos, 39, made his first appearance in federal court in Illinois on Friday. While numerous rioters were armed with guns on Jan 6, none were known to have actually fired their weapons. Banuelos is the first to be charged with doing so. Numerous. You don't say. Jan 6 rioter who charged police while carrying a gun, sentenced to 7 years. Christopher Albert said that instinct took over when he charged at police with a wooden pallet while armed with a concealed weapon. Instinct. How can you, honestly, instinct took over. Anytime, if you're a maggot and you see the cops, it just triggers you. It's like a bull with a red cape. Jan 6 rioter who was armed with a concealed weapon has led a mob that overran police on, as he led a mob that overran police on the steps of the Capitol, was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison Wednesday. Christopher Alberts, a Donald Trump supporter from Maryland, /Antifa BLM mole, was found guilty on 9 charges in April after he testified that instinct took over when he charged the police with a wooden pallet during the Capitol attack, was sentenced by U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper. Alberts, who told the jurors he felt like it was a fraudulent election, was one of just a handful of rioters who was actually arrested on January 6, 2021. Had he not been taken into custody that day, federal investigators might never have realized he had a gun during the Capitol attack. That's the other thing. A bunch of these motherfuckers walked, and they didn't know they had a gun on them until you could see pictures of them. Right? The people who were like flashing their guns, those are the ones who are getting arrested for it now. But a bunch of them fucking had guns. Let's see. The total number of guns in the mob that day will never be known, but other defendants have admitted they were armed, including Mark Mazza, who was carrying 2 firearms and received 5 years in federal prison when he was sentenced last year. Guy Reffitt, a Jan 6 rioter who was charged up the stairs alongside Alberts. Yeah, they were both armed and together. Was the first Capitol rioter to go to trial, also had a gun. He was sentenced to more than 7 years in federal prison. There's Christopher Alberts. There he is. And that's just a guy, look, that guy is dressed like anybody who would just go to a Trump rally. Wouldn't you think? Doesn't that look like You're wearing a gas mask. You've got a backpack. You have a gun. You're wearing like camo American flag patches and shit like that. Well, thanks for becoming a member. I appreciate that. I just saw that zip by. I didn't see, oh, James, thank you so much. All right. Yeah, all in their maggot glory. Prosecutors who had sought 10 years in federal prison for Alberts, saying charging the police line with an armed gun and wearing metal-plated body armor and a gas mask deserved a significant sentence. For hours and often just steps from the Capitol building, Alberts screamed at police officers that they were domestic terrorists and were treasonous communist motherfuckers who were improperly stopping the rioters from doing what's right. Prosecutors wrote, he exclaimed that he and the other rioters were there to do what we are constitutionally allowed to do, and that they had a right and a duty to overthrow the government of the United States and install a new government. Since January 6th, this is him going to court with his fucking American flag tie. Yeah. He expressed no remorse for his crimes, instead seeking praise for being a hero and protector during his assault in the Capitol while slandering the police officer who valiantly struggled that day. Yeah, he's a douchebag. Prosecutors also pointed out that Albert urinated on a wall of the Capitol while yelling, "Fuck DC Metro." As in, fuck the police, I guess. And later threw a bottle of police at the police line. He was arrested after nightfall when a police officer noticed a bulge on his hip that he recognized to be a weapon. Through its sentence, the court must send an unambiguous message to Alberts that the military service did not justify his betrayal of the United States on January 6th. Yeah. So this dipshit, yeah, he was there, and then this other guy fired a gun. That guy shot his gun. They were, he was hanging with this dude. Yeah. But nobody had a weapon, right? By the way, I guarantee that after I have just shown you this shit, sometime in the future, from, this day, the 19th of March in the year of our Lord 20 and 24, this motherfucker will tell you at random in an upcoming clip at some point that there were no guns at the Capitol. He might even go so far as say there were no weapons there, or he'll back off and go, the only weapons were there was the batons they took from some people took from police, and they were probably Antifa or some shit. Never mind the fact that these are straight up maggots who want credit for being maggots, who carried guns and went in pairs in flak vests and fucking, wear gas masks. They were prepped for this fucking day. And this asshole will tell everybody that watches his show, guarantee, he will tell people that there were no guns at the Capitol that day.
And I did this. I would immediately go to jail. Obstruction of justice.
Correct.
No, you wouldn't.
I would go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, because you would be you wouldn't be an elected officer of the government, and you would not have right to that stuff in the first place. You go to jail like the lady in Michigan who stole the Dominion emails.
All of us would. But nobody in Congress ever seems to worry about that. There doesn't seem to be any...
Yeah, it's weird that Matt Gaetz doesn't worry about going to jail. Well, actually, he does now that I think
anything that
now
sends anyone to jail. Why?
Well, we're going to see what is available. One argument is the speech and debate clause.
There you go. One argument is the speech and debate clause. What's responsible for us to keep and what's necessary for us to keep are two different things. And keeping the videotape of innocent people that ended up not being part of our investigation doesn't make any sense. But the record of what we said while we talked to them, that's worth keeping. So we don't have to keep it so that it can be shared out and people can attack these people, especially in a hyper-partisan situation, and put fucking targets on these people's backs. There's no reason to keep it. P.S. Asshole.
But that is to protect you from lawsuits or legal action for what you do in the course of your business being a legislator. I've already been threatened with being subpoenaed or sued just for revealing the truth. But
oh, yeah? What truth would that be?
I'm protected under the speech and debate clause because we have a real legislative purpose.
Oh, so if you're not protected by it, then they wouldn't be protected by it. So if they can go to jail for it, you could go to jail for it. And so Glenn, in asking, why don't we see people in Congress go to jail? You're like, well, I'd be the first one to go to jail if it wasn't for the speech and debate clause. So shut the fuck up. Is that what
we're doing?
Correct. The Congress and the Senate and the president need protection as they are pursuing their job. So if you want to make a claim on the floor, you can make a claim and nobody can sue you, et cetera, et cetera. But we're not talking about that. We are talking about the willful destruction of things the people of the United States paid for. We paid.
Oh, you mean like all the military gear in Afghanistan that we shredded that Donald Trump claims we gave to the Taliban, or that our soldiers surrendered to the Taliban? You mean that stuff that was chewed up for fucking scrap metal, that the scrap dealers in Afghanistan who'd made a killing over the years off of the stuff that the United States would destroy were upset that we were shredding it too much, and they couldn't even sell it for parts because we were literally destroying the stuff down to its kind of metal base, and there was just nothing salvageable about any of it. You mean the American people paid for all that gear and we destroyed it so it wouldn't fall into the hands of the Taliban? You're upset about that?
Millions of dollars. And if they don't classify things to keep us away from it and to keep many of you guys who have oversight away from it, then they just seem to destroy it. That can't stand.
They just seem to destroy it? Okay. The House leadership in this situation is equal to the other people. They're not above them. You don't just get constant do-overs on the other side's committees. If you think the Jan 6ers in their interviews didn't release enough information, you need to take a fucking line and take a number and get in fucking line behind the release of all the Jan 6 video, which every time they do, more maggots go to jail. Like, there's a reason why Republicans are always the one trying to put the brakes on that shit. Occasionally, Democrats are like, watch what you release because it shows where the safety zones are in case we're attacked. And Homeland Security doesn't want everybody, doesn't want a schematic of all the escape routes so that any foreign power could figure out how to kill us all. That would be nice if we set that, that footage aside. But the rest of it, fucking show it. Half these assholes filmed themselves on Facebook while they were doing it.
It cannot. And this is kind of treading new territory. I don't know that anything to this level, I shouldn't say hasn't happened before, but never been exposed. And so there's so much.
No, there's never been a situation where the Capitol was attacked and the motherfuckers were being filmed by cameras inside the place. At the same time, they filmed themselves. It's a one-off. And guess what, motherfucker? It's not going to happen again.
Much more investigation that we're doing. I don't want to really opine on what could happen in
yeah, because you don't want to end up like Comer.
the future, because we may uncover a whole lot more that even adds on to just how obstructive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what we're talking about ain't shit. But, I mean, if we keep looking, we're probably going to get some Jan 6ers thrown in jail for like 20 plus years. But, at least we can pretend that we're continuing to look, and therefore what we're going to find isn't more Jan 6ers that will go to jail, but, how Democrats created the whole thing. And our followers wouldn't have done it if the FBI hadn't dressed up like maggots and hypnotized us.
That they really were. And you also have the issue of, you have most of the members of that committee are still in Congress, but you do have Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and some others that are not. They're not currently protected by some of those same things.
Yeah, they are, because they're protected by it while they were there. They're not continuing to release shit.
But it also gives us the ability of those that are in Congress. We do have certain actions that can be taken.
Yeah, here's a good idea, dumb fuck. Subpoena her and Adam Kinzinger. Two people who are great at like taking a giant shit on all of your arguments and are known as fucking Republicans. What are you doing? Do you really want these motherfuckers to sit down and like, hey, you know what I'm going to do when I'm sitting there? Liz, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to sit there and just list a bunch of people that had guns. Every time they ask me a question, I'm going to tell them how without our committee, we wouldn't have known that this person had guns and this person had guns and this other person had guns and this other guy had a truck full of guns and he died in his fucking truck of a speed overdose. Otherwise, those guns would have actually gotten to the Capitol because the dude juiced himself before he was going to go and had a fucking heart attack.
Within the body. So there's a lot of questions there. And what I've told our team is let's just keep digging. Let's keep it.
Yeah, keep digging. We'll find something. And when we find something and it turns out to be another maggot that should go to jail, we'll ignore it and get rid of the evidence the way we're accusing them.
Investigate.
There's a bunch of missing information here. Yeah, it's a bunch of fucking maggots that should go to jail.
Let's keep going down the path we're going, because right now we have literally informants coming out of the woodwork. Now,
really? Literally? That's weird. How did they get in the woodwork in the first place? Is it like a chest of drawers, or are they coming out of the paneling on the wall? They're literally coming out of the woodwork? Adorable. Literally coming out of the woodwork. Well, obviously, there's no wood in sight in this area, so obviously none of them are going to show up magically in the Glenn Beck studio. Maybe in his dipshit little child's playroom that he does his
now
show
that they've seen what we're doing, is we're doing it in an unbiased manner. We're just trying to get to the truth.
Yeah, we're just trying to get to the truth, and we haven't found any yet.
And we even have folks who, let's say, would more lean toward Democrats that are coming to us saying, I've got information. I don't like Donald Trump, but I hate the injustice that I see being done.
Yeah, I totally believe you. Yeah, I bet you do. I mean, obviously, you don't bother. Don't name them either. I trust you. These people who lean Democrats, who don't like Donald Trump, but they hate the injustice. And I can see how those people who lean Democrat and hate Donald Trump, but hate the injustice, I can see why they wouldn't want to come forward. Because why? What was the injustice? Just vague bullshit. But what would be the part of their statement? What injustice are they talking about?
Right, and this isn't all about Donald Trump. This is about the railroading of American citizens.
Bullshit. Asshole, most of these people who deserve to go to jail went fucking home. Half these assholes had somebody right next to them that was doing the same shit they were, but when they stood in front of the fucking judge, they were like, I'm sorry, I lost my mind. It was wrong. I'll never do it again. I don't know what I was thinking. I got caught up in it, but that's not something I would do ever again. And if you put me on probation, nothing like this will ever happen again. I swear to Jesus. And that person went home. And the person that was standing right next to him was like, fuck yeah, I'd do it again. Puh. And that person is in jail right now. But these are the hostages he's talking about.
It's like I've never seen before.
Let me guess. You thought like Timothy McVeigh and co. were all political prisoners too.
It was Jim Jordan yesterday issued a letter on behalf of our journalist, Steve Baker, to the United States Attorney, Matthew Graves. And
by the way, he's not your reporter. You hired him after. He participated in January 6th. He wasn't just there to fucking film it. Get the shit out of here. He wasn't a Blaze reporter that was on the scene on January 6th. You motherfuckers hired that asshole after. And it's either, I guess you guys fucking didn't figure out that they were going to chase down what he did on that fucking day, or you didn't even bother to check. You're just like, he was there. He must have been a hero.
Is demanding all of the documents and communication internal to know why this.
Yeah, and that guy's attorney is going, no.
Guy was treated differently than the New York Times.
One moment, please. Let's see. Let me try to get this break. I gotta break this window out. Get out of here. There you go. FBI detains reporter for Jan 6 coverage. The FBI arrested Steve Baker, a journalist with Blaze Media, now He was not a journalist with Blaze Media at the time, who reported on January 6th Capitol riot, putting him in handcuffs for a perp walk despite him turning himself in. Baker faces 4 misdemeanor charges related to his reporting on the Capitol that day. Also, I call bullshit because it wasn't based on his reporting. Baker and Blaze CEO Glenn Beck believe this is an attempt to humiliation. Why? And that the government is cracking down on independent journalists. Why? There were a bunch of people who were there who didn't get arrested. Why him? Charges reference videos where Baker expressed approval of the riot and said he regretted not stealing computers from Nancy Pelosi's office. My attorneys have also been assured by the government this will be an in-and-out affair, and they have no intention of detaining me, but rather than issuing a simple order to appear, they seem to feel the need to give me a dose of personal humiliation treatment. When the United States government can come after individuals who were in the Capitol that day filming it and were acting more like participants than observers, the minute you start saying shit like that on camera, his report since questioned police accounts of events. They got Pelosi's office, and it couldn't happen to a more deserving bitch, I'm guessing, Baker said. Look out your window, fucker. Look what's coming, the documents read. Baker said he was quite excited to see what was going on. Do I approve of what happened today? I approve 100%. Yeah, you're a propagandist for Jan 6. You're not a reporter. You were filming yourself as part of it. I got news for you. There were military people and cops that were there, but they were not there in a military and police capacity, and they didn't get to use it as an excuse. There was one guy who had a gun who said, I had a gun on me because I was DEA. Like, nope, motherfucker. You don't get to do shit like that and participate in that kind of shit carrying your service gun, which I'm not even sure if it was. I think it might have been his own personal gun, not even a service gun. You swap out to your personal gun and go to this shit? Get out of here. Should get the Good Liars on as guests. Their Jan 6 story is wild. I would love to. Would love to have the Good Liars on. That'd be great. Yeah, no. Steve Baker participated in this shit. He wasn't just a reporter. Fuck off with that. And again, he wasn't hired as a reporter for the Blaze until after.
Are we going to find anything on this? Is this...
Yes, you're going to find out that more details like this, his internal documents, his own emails, the discovery they used to make the case against him is actually going to be, was that Ashley Babbitt armed with a knife? Yes, she was. Ashley Babbitt had a knife in her bag. They're just gonna, this is the same shit that's happening to the other Jan 6ers. These motherfuckers are gonna dig until they make sure this asshole goes to jail for 5 years. And his own people are like, just fucking call me a reporter and then shut the fuck up. Don't ask for more information.
Nobody believes that any of this is going to change a darn thing, which is frightening.
Yeah, it will. I got news for you. That motherfucker isn't going to charge up the steps of a Capitol anytime soon, especially if he goes to jail, but even if he just gets probation. He's also going to, if he embeds himself along with some of this shit in the future, is not going to cheer it on as a propagandist for it.
But honestly.
Well, I can anticipate what the FBI is going to say, and I've got some
yeah, you don't have to. It's in their report.
Personal theories about this, but they're going to say this is an active investigation, so we can't provide you anything.
Of course.
Which is potentially.
Fuck you. First of all, they do make statements about stuff, about active investigations as far as the case so far. But they don't, when they go in front of the House and whatnot, and they're doing oversight, they're not going to admit some of it in an open committee hearing, but other things they will. They're not going to use sources and methods and show how they do stuff, and the Republicans are going to try to get to the bottom of that because they're trying to protect a bunch of these maggots, these Jan 6ers. They're trying to get, here's what you do if you need to run interference. This is what they're doing. So watch, don't use WhatsApp or fucking Signal anymore. Use this. That's what they're going to do.
Let me just say this. Potentially, one of the reasons that they've done this
is that he said Nancy Pelosi deserved it. He wished he'd stolen shit while he was in there. He filmed out the window saying he 100% agrees with what's going on, and he supported it. He was actually there to basically catalog the day for the winning side, not be a reporter.
So
but they lost, so now he's in deep shit.
Information that he was working on can't be subpoenaed or...
Sure it can. Yeah, it can. You're a propagandist for an insurrection. You weren't a fucking reporter, dum-dum. That's why you watch what you say and how you frame questions, why it matters.
that won't be provided to Congress. That's one theory of why they've gone after him and not the others, because he was onto something. Look, my dad, a World War II veteran, used to tell me all the time, you took the most incoming fire when you were over the target.
Correct.
So
Yeah. First of all, tell that to the people of, I guess, Pearl Harbor. Did that mean they were right? You're saying the Japanese were right to hit Pearl Harbor? Maybe if the target was participating in creating a positive spin on and a story of how Jan 6 played out, and you were there as a propagandist, you're the same as the Japanese during Pearl Harbor, right? So of course you're going to catch fire while you're over the target. The problem is your target was civilian.
Fact that, this has been done to Steve Baker, is a red flag to me, is he's on to something.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It might be on something. It might have been on fucking meth that day, like the rest of these dumbasses. No. He filmed himself being a participant in it. He was a cheerleader for it. He wasn't there as a journalist just filming it for posterity. There were plenty of fucking people there, by the way, with their phones out who were filming shit. There were plenty of people there with cameras. They're not being arrested because none of them said, "This is awesome. We should steal more shit."
And I know one of the things he's working on. I believe you do too, and that has to be sewn up. If it's false, then it's false and shouldn't be spoken of. But if it's true,
no. If it's false, you need to fucking tell us what you were looking at. I don't know what the fuck these guys working on, but in that particular instance, the way they're talking about it is like, if we're digging up some shit on somebody, and if it turns out to be bullshit, we should never mention it again. But if it turns out to be right, well, we'll use it. No, how about you admit that you dug around and found fucking nothing?
It's one of the worst things. I think it's regime changing, and I use the word regime intentionally.
Yeah, because you're an asshole. That's how an asshole speaks of an administration that was duly elected. By the way, he also defends Putin, whose election was totally fair.
And I agree with you on that. And
really, what is it? Why you don't have a teaser for it? You don't have a title? You're not gonna? He's working on it, and suddenly maybe they arrested him to interrupt the process because they know what he's going after.
People don't go to these extreme measures to cover up something that isn't real.
Yes.
I mean,
what? Did it ever occur to you they're actually arresting him for what he fucking did? How about this? How about assholes like you and Loudermilk don't create bullshit like victimization stories around this kind of stuff unless you're trying to cover for the fact that you hired a dude who participated in Jan 6 and by his own insistence on being there. The fact that he was there and you fucking hired him and he's on video saying, "I'm behind this, I'm for this 100%. I support this 100%," proves it was not a fucking Antifa, BLM, FBI secret ploy. Who the fuck told him to go into Nancy Pelosi's office and say, "I should have stole more," and look out the window at charging hordes and go, I support this 100%, you dumb motherfucker? Because his very existence, the very things you're defending him for, prove that Jan 6 was a maggot attack on democracy. Game, set, fucking match. The fact that you're defending him also means you're defending a maggot attack on democracy. Not, "Oh my God, he was there. He got sucked up in it because of an FBI guy whispered in his ear and he just, he heard his programming from the Manchurian Project and had to run up the fucking steps and say things he truly did not believe in the face of this horrible, horrible thing that Antifa started and pushed." The fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. No. His existence on that day means the whole FBI narrative, the whole "they drove us to do it" narrative is bullshit. And the fact that you hired him And what he said on that day means you support what he said on that day. Fuck you, Glenn Beck.
There's got to be
You cop-hating, soldier-hating son of a bitch.
there, or they're not going to.
Other than that, I have no opinion, by the way. I know some people thought I'm a little, Hal, why be so namby-pamby about it? Why aren't you pushing a little harder? And then to that I say, touche. And to Glenn and Stu, I say, douche.
Go to this level.
Tell me, let me switch subjects again.
Right, because if you stay on this one, it will become even more abundantly clear that you're full of shit.
This bill is going through Congress today, and Stu and I look at it, I think, the same way. We're for free speech, and I.
Oh, fuck. Oh, okay, so this is about the TikTok bill. This is where these motherfuckers don't know how to land on this. We're for free speech. Well, then fine. Speech will find a way. Be like water, my friend. If it goes into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If it goes into a cup, it becomes the cup. Be like water, my friend. Speech is the same way. You think if TikTok goes away, people won't have free speech, motherfuckers? It's like, Jesus Christ, hold on. I want to do this without annoying anyone. Shit, I'm gonna have to give it number. Hold on. I'm gonna have to ask my research assistant over at the chat and the G and the P and the T. Hold on. Because this has come up a couple of times. There we go. How many active social media platforms are there with more than 1 million users? That's a decent, right? Right? Pretty. Challenge because the landscape of social media. However, from that provided information, major platforms which have 1 billion users. Douyin, TikTok, Snapchat has both user bias. Douyin have 752 million. Platforms basis sources. Statista, biggest social media platforms. Given these figures, it's clear that there are numerous social media platforms with user bases well over 1 million. The precise count of such platforms require a comprehensive update database of social media networks, including smaller niche platforms. Well, here you go. Well, let's go right into here. Get our lovely folks over at. Get out of here. Why are you doing this for to me? This guy. 23 top social media sites to consider your brand. It's what it's for. Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, WeChat, TikTok, Telegram, Snapchat, Kuaishou, Weibo. I love how 3 of them are Chinese and you can't have a fucking QQ. Same shit. QQ. All those are Chinese and don't go anywhere near them. X, Pinterest, Reddit, LinkedIn, Quora, Discord. Hey, we have a Discord. If you join our Patreon, you get access to our private Discord for just those folks, so you can have conversations amongst yourself and not have to worry about marauders. Threads, yeah, there it is. Tumblr is still around. Mastodon, which has got 1.7, and Mastodon has, like, you can make your own under that. Blue Sky, which has an unknown number of people in it. These are just the major ones it's recommending. This isn't even just like, look on your fucking phone sometime in the App Store at like, let's see, social media platforms. Is the 15 best? Let's see. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go with, I'm going to see if it does this. Okay, here you go. Later. WeChat, let's see. Allow. How many social media websites are there with 1 million subscribers or less? So he's looking. I don't know if it'll be to find out, because it'll be an abstract in this. Turn the exact number of social media websites. Yeah, okay.
Determining the exact number of social media websites with 1 million subscribers or less is quite challenging, as the landscape is vast and constantly changing. However, it's safe to say that there are numerous smaller platforms and niche networks that cater to specific interests or demographics. These platforms may not have the massive user base of giants like Facebook or Instagram, but they offer more targeted communities and specialized content. If you're interested in exploring these smaller networks, they can often be found through web searches or by looking at social media statistics and trend reports.
Can you give me an example of a niche social media platform? Let's see if she reads it back to me. This is Copilot, by the way, talking to me. Behance, right, is one of them.
Certainly. One example of a niche social media platform is Behance. It's a vertical social network specifically designed for creative professionals like graphic artists and web designers. Owned by Adobe, Behance allows members to showcase their portfolios, connect with other creatives, and discover job opportunities. It's a great platform for those starting out in the creative field or looking to network within the industry. Another example is Letterboxd, a social network for film enthusiasts where users can track movies they've watched, rate them, create lists, and connect with other movie lovers. These platforms offer unique communities focused on specific...
That's fine, thank you. So that's me talking to Copilot. Is that very... Sorry, I turned it down. Sorry if it was loud, but it's on another browser setup. So if I'm gonna have her as a regular talking person on the show, that's fun. That's super weird. By the way, can I just say I asked those questions verbally and they answered them? And AI answered it. You fucking hate Copilot, Mark? Oh, I know. It's getting better. There's some stuff that's worthwhile to it. It's not the best, but it's worthwhile in some of these situations. But yeah, let's there's dozens of fucking sites. If you dropped off TikTok, listen to me. TikTok, you could move someplace else. You could move over to Skittles.com. I don't know.
Don't like regulating anybody.
No.
However, these guys are intentionally taking us down. However, is this a Trojan horse that can be used against people like us down the road?
No. Unless, actually, I take it back. Yes, because you're clearly working for the Chinese government, Glenn. How about that? No one talks up the power, prestige, and strength of China the way Glenn Beck does. He does it so much, I think Putin's getting jealous because he kisses his ass and gargles his balls at the same time, too.
I'm in the same position as you guys. I think there's
split and undecisive. Great. That's leadership for you.
Something that needs to be done with TikTok, because what people need to understand is this application is owned and operated by the Chinese Communist Party.
Look how Glenn's trying to help him say Chinese Communist Party. I'm sorry, the Republican Party these days needs training wheels to say Chinese Communist Party. Fuck is wrong with you?
For one thing, and it's to disrupt the Americans, our culture.
Social cohesion, dumb fuck. Good Lord.
To influence the culture, but more importantly is to
divide us.
Spy on America. Exactly. Yeah. Divide us and get information. Look, some of the people who are defending TikTok are already upset about the amount of data big tech is taking from American citizens every day without their knowledge. And in my estimation, unconstitutionally and illegally. But yeah.
Okay. No. You can give as much information about yourself to anyone as you want. Under the Constitution, that is your right as an American. The government does not have the right to step in between you. If you want to spill your fucking guts, stand up on a stage at a fucking karaoke show, and instead of singing your song, just blather bullshit and yell your PIN number and all that stuff. No one can stop you. It's stupid, but no one will get in between you. The same thing is true of social media sites. If you want to give them access to all your shit, tell it all your deepest, darkest secrets, and present all this information that you don't trust them with because you have to, right? To get on the site, and you're that dumb and you would use that site, then you're an idiot. But it's not illegal, and it's certainly not unconstitutional. It would be unconstitutional to stop you if you wanted to.
They're defending TikTok, who's doing the same thing, and it's going to an enemy of the United States.
I know.
So we have to be very careful.
I know, but TikTok makes the Blaze a lot of money, so torn.
Because
I'm not on TikTok, by the way, for this very reason. TikTok is malware. It listens when it's not supposed to be listening. It has access to all your shit, and it can get to any other app in your phone. And it has had that power for a long time. And they wantonly share every detail about you, and you have to allow that to have it on your phone. I don't use it. I'm not going to use it for that very fucking reason. Period. And I don't encourage people to use it by having an account, because people are like, well, you could make so much money on TikTok. Yeah, by dragging my supporters there or trying to build up a presence there and keeping people there. You can't hear me? Why would you not be able? I can see audio going out. Maybe reload your page. What's the purpose of Stu? Oh, it keeps the desk from tilting the other way because this chair weighs 9,000 pounds.
Don't trust the government. I know that we will take any law to the extreme and try to use it. So I think it's.
No, you won't. No, you fucking won't. If you could take any law to the extreme, no one in that room would be alive right now, dum-dum. They'd all be in jail. If you, we don't go by the letter. Fucking Trump would be in prison a year and a half ago. This fucking, hand-wringing bullshit, paranoid crap about the U.S. government, especially while you're you're a serving member of the House. Shut the fuck up. These assholes act like they're in the Gulag Archipelago or whatever the fuck it is. Isn't that where that's the Gulag that has Komodo dragons, right?
It's important to
at the Gulag Mar-a-Lago
take the step, and I think under this legislation, which forces the divestiture of TikTok,
the sale of it
from the Chinese Communist Party, and look, I want to protect Glenn Beck and the Blaze and every other, even the liberal media.
I would say the same about the Daily Beast, which I despise.
Exactly. But I don't think that we have to provide that same level of protection to the Chinese Communist Party.
What complex times we live in.
It's not complex at all, dumb fuck. You create a law that a government-owned social media site cannot be used within the United States. There's nothing unconstitutional or wrong with that. And if it is, it has to be listed as such, as in the Chinese Communist Party's TikTok on its advertising, so people know what they're getting into. And if they want to be stupid motherfuckers and make money for the Chinese military and the Chinese government itself by dicking around on that website when they've got a myriad of others, Snapchat, Facebook Reels, like fucking Twitch, you can you could do shorts on there now, almost, kind of. And then of course X, whatever. Thank you, Capital City Pyro. Please do a video on the Trump team videos, shamelessly asking for donations, $1 to $5. I send a link to them to CSL so we can find them. I will gladly do that. I don't know that I've seen them in our feed, so yeah, absolutely.
No,
it is.
It's not complex. It is not complex. Again, there's all this bullshit the Republicans go into about the Chinese government is buying land in America near our military bases and they're buying farmland. Okay, no, they are not. They have private companies that are set up that are not owned by the Chinese government, even though the Chinese government basically controls all of these, and they might be puppets, but they have to at least jump through the legal hoops of not being a government thing. No government, except for embassies, can purchase land. And even that's a lease. You can't buy fucking land if you're a foreign government in the United States. It doesn't fucking work that way. Private citizens from other countries can buy property here, but they have to own it and pay taxes on it and all that kind of shit like everybody else. And and they don't get to put anything official on top of it. But if a government does it, it's illegal. And so that's why the Chinese government has been doing it through LLCs and kind of private real estate companies and shit like that. Okay? Thanks, Water Goddess. I try. I can't keep up with all of it, but believe me, it all enters into my brain. That's why occasionally you'll see me when I'm talking, the chat, I will repeat things that are in the chat occasionally, like a word or something accidentally while I'm talking. It's because I'm literally reading as I speak, which is a talent. I got to admit. But this bullshit about, like, it's complicated. It's not. If you want to use a social media company in the United States, it can't be owned by your government. We're not, or it has to be listed as such. That would be the other option. Openly marked as such.
It
definitely. You just want to make money on TikTok, you dumb motherfucker. That's what this is about.
It really is.
Okay.
And one of the reasons.
No, not okay, motherfucker. This is the point where you do what I did, Glenn. This is the point where in your show you go, that's why we're not on TikTok. Stu's not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. We don't let any of the people who work at the Blaze be on TikTok because it's a policy of the network because we believe this. Fucking say it. Say it. But you're not because you can make money off of it. So fuck you. I don't want to hear any shit about Joe Biden, the man who's directly put more sanctions on the Chinese government than any president in fucking history, has set their economy and their technological theft, their advancement / theft back to pre-Nixon fucking levels. I don't want to hear you shit talking him while you assholes are still on there and you refuse to call it out. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Glenn Beck, the globalist.
Glenn, that we're going to such efforts to expose the truth is because we have never before in American history has there been this much distrust of America.
Yeah, asshole. Congratulations. Well, I guess your mouth is full, but ask the dude whose balls you're gargling all the time, Donald Trump, who's talking about how the country's shit, it's garbage, it's hell, it's on the brink of the tubes of the center of the middle of the pit of hell and on the verge of shitty hell all the time, and our cities suck and nothing works and everything's bad. And then you go by the number, like, the Republican Party's like 45% of the electorate. They used to be maybe 51%. Now they're 45. So 45 is a huge number of people who don't trust the government anymore. And then you got half of Democrats who are like, I don't trust it when that asshole's in charge, or I don't trust it because the Republicans are in charge right now and what the bullshit that they're doing in terms of the, stopping the border bill and other shit like that. So I don't trust them in that regard. Doesn't mean I don't trust the system that exists. I don't trust some of the people who are in charge of it. And I don't trust the tack the Republican Party is on to do what's right.
Our own government, of the people in the government. And I think
including you, fuckwad. You work in the government. Fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene's like, people have never been this horrified at our government. Like, yeah, asshole, since you showed up, take a fucking hint.
As bad as we are, we're still the best it's ever been. And there's nothing we're going through we haven't been through before in this country and overcome. We got to get our eyes back on our cause.
Yeah, sorry, you don't get to usurp fucking Biden's message all of a sudden.
Liberty and justice, things that our founders, have envisioned for this country. We have to have a healthy
okay, for the record, our founders wrote the Second Amendment and didn't know what the fuck a ghost gun was, much less a fucking like one of those automatic trigger modifications you can put on a Glock.
Trust for our government. That's what keeps us free. But the people also have to know that there are still people here that want you to know the truth of what happened, because if we don't know the truth, we won't stop the same thing from repeating itself.
What do you mean Asshole, he just said he hasn't figured out anything. We're going to keep looking. They haven't found any fucking thing. And the only thing they have found resulted in one of their own going to jail for longer.
When you look at this thing that Liz Cheney did, it isn't just the false information they put out, but when you look at like Cassidy Hutchins' testimony that they took hers, hook, line, and sinker without even questioning it. 2 months later, they interview the driver of the SUV who was supposedly the one that Trump tried to take the steering wheel from.
Right.
They didn't even ask him about that event when they interviewed him. You would think of anybody that would ask that. He had to.
Okay, first of all, hers was secondhand knowledge. She admits to it. She heard it from another person. That doesn't mean she didn't say it was that she was there. She heard what they said. The point wasn't that like she lied to Congress, because she didn't. She said what she heard. So there are two things that are possible. She's lying about what they said, those two guys, which they admit they said what she said they said. Or the guys that she was talking about were lying about what happened because they were trying to impress the hot chick in the office. That they fought off Trump and his bullshit, or, oh my God, it was terrible. They turned him screaming at them and insisting they take him to the Capitol into him grabbing him by the shirt collar or some shit. She was repeating hearsay, right?
Interjected himself that never happened.
They also only referenced pipe bomb 5 times in almost 1,000-page report. They're not asking the questions on the pipe bomb. That doesn't make sense.
What? Everybody knows they ran aground on the details that they have. The same thing's true. By the way, footage has come out of the fucking people with the gallows. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Video shows movement of group suspected of constructing the Jan 6 gallows hours before the Capitol siege. That's the neon orange rope that they hung. People who erected the infamous gallows and noose on the west front of the Capitol 6, January 6th, began their work in the pre-dawn hours that day, according to newly released videos obtained by CBS News, a report by GOP-led House subcommittee, and the perpetrators remain unaccounted for by prosecutors. Surveillance footage shared with CBS News shows the brazenness of the work began with the gallows and noose, which have a history of racist and threatening overtones. Mike Pence, they were going to hang Mike Pence, blah, blah, pressured former, hang Mike Pence. Videos illustrate how a crew of people roll pieces down the streets. Oh, and we'll see if they have this piece.
Up on the screen now, they want to know why no one has been arrested for unlawful.
Yeah, who the fuck is that? By the way, Donald Trump was president on this day.
Lawful assemblage and construction on Capitol grounds. That's the technical violation here. The footage shows a group of people early on the day of the riots entering Union Square Park, and they are seen hauling lumber hours before former President Trump directly told his supporters to march to the Capitol. He said he would meet them during his rally in Washington.
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarlane has more from Capitol Hill. Scott, talk to us about exactly what the video reveals.
This is one of those still stubborn mysteries from January 6th. We still don't.
Yes, it's the one that drives me fucking crazy.
Don't know who let those pipe bombs on Capitol Hill, and we don't yet have any information about somebody being arrested for the erection of those gallows.
You said erection? Yeah.
That horrifying image on the west front of the U.S. Capitol, the gallows with an orange noose, which is an iconography and an illustration of something that really meant racism and hatred for generations in America.
Okay, yes, but it was also how they used to just hang everybody in the Old West. Stop it. This is not a racist symbol particularly. As a matter of fact, everybody they were directly planning on killing, insofar as I know, was white. Specifically Mike Pence, who was practically luminescent. The motherfucker is so white. He's practically a jellyfish. And Nancy Pelosi. Maybe they were going to go as brown as AOC, but it wasn't set up to be a fucking racist symbol. It was meant to be fucking like Jan 6 cowboy justice, you dumb motherfucker.
We know from the new video obtained by CBS News, some of the construction of this gallows happened brazenly in the early morning hours of January 6, 2021. The movement of the lumber through iconic streets of Washington, D.C., Independence Avenue, onto the lawn of the Capitol grounds happened in plain sight around the 6 a.m. hour. Then, over the course of the morning, some wood was impaneled on the west.
You said wood.
Front of the Capitol. Then around the 1 p.m. hour.
You said wood, dumbass.
The crossbar and the noose were affixed, according to the Congressional Review. But according to the same Congressional Review, Tony and Lilia, there's been nobody identified as a suspect in this, and our CBS News review of 1,300 or so criminal cases associated with January 6th shows...
I got news for you. The more these fuckheads insist on footage being released, the closer we'll get to catching these dumbasses and the pipe bomber. The Republicans think they're going to clear their names by releasing all this Jan 6 footage. They're not. What they're going to do is result in more and more horrifying stories coming out about what actually happened on that day, and that more maggots were involved in more horrifying ways than even have been reported, including the asshole who fired his gun twice at the Capitol into the air, other guys who were armed when they were saying that nobody was armed, nobody had a gun, there were no guns, you can't have an insurrection if you don't have any guns. They had guns all over the place, and we're going to find out who the fuck these guys are, and ladies who did it, because it looked like a mixed group to me. We're going to find out who they are specifically because Republicans are calling for the release of the footage.
None of the named defendants being linked to this. So 3 years and 2 months later, this remains a transcendent and troubling mystery for all involved.
Yeah, and again, I'm curious as to what they would be charged with, the people who built the gallows. I would argue terroristic threats. And in theory, they could be charged with attempted murder. Because if you bring a weapon to the scene of someplace where you believe that weapon will be used, a gallows qualifies. So there's a good reason for these fuckers to, like, stay hidden as long as fucking possible. Stop saying that. Can I get up here? They brought wood for their erection. So yeah, these guys are in deep shit if they ever get found out, because it'll be... You know, they were engaged in a murder plot.
5 times, but they mentioned Donald Trump 1,900 times.
Yeah, because it was his fucking riot.
1,900 times, and the president...
Also, how many times do I have to mention the fucking bomb? It happened. There were 2 of them. The FBI's looking into it. It was the day before the 6th. It was the January 6th committee, not the days preceding January 6th, and also on January 6th, and also shortly thereafter, and anything tangentially related to January 6th. Find a direct linkage to those things and January 6th, and that will explain it. I think they were tangentially related, but we don't have proof because we don't have the person.
The United States was not even part of their tasking from the resolution that established the committee. The security failure at the Capitol was, and they didn't hardly address that whatsoever. This was...
Yeah, that's true. Thanks. Good, excellent defense of Donald Trump. So everybody at the Capitol should have known if Donald Trump was having a rally nearby, there would be a riot because he's a violent prick. How could Nancy Pelosi not know that Donald Trump was going to set his fucking hordes loose on the Capitol that day? I mean, it's obvious after it happened.
It's designed from the beginning to legislatively prosecute Trump and to push a false narrative. You can see it all the way through.
TOH Live, thanks for gifting the subs, by the way. And Professor Funbags, thanks for the bids.
From the documents that they tried to keep from the American people, which is any exculpatory information that they...
What exculpatory information? There isn't any. What's the exculpatory? The contents of the FBI whispers? Jesus Christ. Asshole, the more you look, the more damning evidence you're going to find. What could be exculpatory about the attack on the Capitol? If 35 people out of the 3,000 that attacked go, I thought this was the last thing Donald Trump would want me to do, but I felt it was necessary. Who gives a fuck?
Suppressed documents that they deleted, and the questions they didn't ask people that they were afraid would contradict other information they got that they liked.
Like, for example, what?
That is not a real investigation. That is just cherry picking, trying to find whatever will support your predetermined narrative. That's not the way our system is designed here.
That's exactly what your system is doing.
In the United States.
That's exactly what you're looking for. You're going on an exculpatory evidence fishing expedition.
So our job is just to put the truth out there to the American people and let them.
Okay. Yeah, keep doing it because you're getting maggots thrown in jail, dumb fuck.
Them decide.
Thank you.
You know, what
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your service, Barry Loudermilk.
Really happened.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you for getting more maggots thrown in jail for longer.
Barry Loudermilk. He is from the great state of Georgia. We'll talk again.
What's exactly great about it from your perspective, Glenn? What is it? What is it? The Waffle Houses, or what's the big selling point for Georgia for you? The number of indoor gun ranges that are poorly ventilated, so everybody gets a good whiff of lead every time they're there, so they get the prefrontal cortex of their brain perforated over the years and become more impulsive and violent as time goes on. Is that it?
Thank you. Keep your head up.
All right.
Keep your head up. Your ass, maybe. That's, oh, God. Keep your head up. Yeah. You're fighting the good fight there, man. It's rough. I don't even know how they do it. It's like he's a hero, man. It's exactly that Loudermilk fella. He's a hero. Okay? You don't know. You don't really know. You don't know. You know who knows who's really running things? Donald Trump. And you know where he is right now? Gorka.
I got to get going. So thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate it very much. Gorka, did I see the Gorka man? Yes, stand up, Gorka. Quick, get up. How good?
Gorka.
How good is he, Sebastian?
Stand up, Gorka man.
Seb. They call him Seb. I call him Sebastian. Thank you, Sebastian. I just spotted you. It's lucky you're nice and tall.
It's lucky you're nice and tall.
No longer Dr. G. Is it the Gorka man? Maybe if the former and God willing, if we do our part, the future.
Dr. G? Really? Really? Do these assholes always have to have a nickname for themselves? Honest Don, Dr. G? Fuck, man.
President give.
My name is Hal Sparks, by the way, and you can call me Hal or Mr. Sparks if you've never met me, and then you can immediately start calling me Hal right afterwards. But my name is Hal, and I do not have a weird nickname. Like I'm on fucking Step Brothers.
You a new nickname, you should stick to it. We are honored to have with us my former boss.
Stick to it? That's your new nickname?
The 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, welcome to America First.
Hi, Sebastian. I'm lucky I spotted you. See, you're nice and tall, so I was able to spot you. Otherwise, I would have been in big trouble if I didn't see you. You've been so great. So anyway, and I thank you for that.
He was sitting. Why don't you just say, I'm lucky everyone else was short? Oh, yes, Colonel Sparks also works. You can also call me Colonel. But only if we're having popcorn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, let's begin with the thing that was most of concern to you the last time we met at Mar-a-Lago.
Which was doing interviews on video. That upset you greatly, so you'd rather call in and have them use a picture of you from 20-something.
I have to ask on behalf of the millions of people who are listening right now, how concerned are you, Mr. President? You are trouncing the current incumbent. You became the nominee with such ease.
Such ease? You kidding me? He didn't run unopposed like a bunch of previous Republicans where we'd have gotten 100% of it, and he lost 60% of or 40% of the vote in a bunch of places. Got 60%, but 40% of the voters aren't going to vote for him at all in these states. It's fucking terrible.
You certain
suck. Oh,
are you confident that this election at least will be secure and fair?
They've cheated for many years, decades, I hear.
Well, then how the fuck did you get in?
I was witness to it the last time. And
how the fuck did Bush get in? Twice.
That was, in my opinion, absolute. It was a disgrace. We won that election. It was a rigged election. And look at what's happened between the borders of Afghanistan and Ukraine.
You mean us actually getting out? And yeah, I mean, I get it. Your wall sucks.
Being attacked by Russia. This would have never happened. And with Israel, the attack on Israel, October 7th.
Which was planned while you were president.
All of this is all of things that would never have happened. Inflation would have never happened.
Yeah, because the economy wouldn't have come back.
Because I had energy low, and when he came in, it doubled and tripled. And
because people started using it again. No one was going anywhere.
It's
the same shit.
Threw the whole system off. It's just so...
It threw the whole system off. The system of what? Failure?
So, I mean, think of...
We had a system. It was called collapse. It was going just fine.
Think of what the world would have been like if
yes, if we'd have never had vaccines, if the Biden administration hadn't gotten a rescue package together, if they hadn't moved our economy forward to the point where it is the envy of the world, yeah, what would that have been like? I guess same thing. It would have been. We would have all been waiting for sunlight to destroy COVID. I guess
We had an election where we had a fair election, just to put it nicely. I want to be nice. We had a fair election. So they're going to try and rig it. I have no doubt about it. They've been doing it for years.
Wait, if they rigged it when you were in office, what fucking chance do you have? I'm serious about this. How the fuck does that work? If they while you were president, you presided over, according to you, as president, the most unfair election in history. A bunch of upstarts and locals kicked your ass. A guy who never left his basement and was super unpopular and blah, blah, blah. And he kicked your ass. They managed to sweep your leg. How the fuck are you going to win if the guy's in charge now? What is that? How is that even? It's absurd.
And look, how can you win on open borders, high interest rates, a woke military, all the things that they talk about? All electric cars. How about all electric cars? They don't go far. They cost too much, and they're made in China. How do you do that?
No, they're not.
So how?
And they, again, what the fuck? Again, does he think electric car? Did he watch like Who Killed the Electric Car and think that's where the technology froze?
How can they win with what
they won last time?
Do the policies are so bad? The thing they do best is cheating at elections and missing.
Well, okay, if that's all they fucking need, they run the government now, dumb fuck. The whole fucking thing.
Information like the word bloodbath, which they've used 100 times over the last year about describing things, and I used it about.
No, they haven't.
Trade, essentially.
What the fuck? What do you mean, Democrats? That's you. What do you mean? This is really about you being uncreative or copying Democrats by borrowing the word bloodbath?
Auto trade, because we're getting ripped off with Biden's really dumb auto policy. I tell you what.
Oh, you mean the one that's in the USMCA that the U.S. since Biden got in has been fighting because, well, I'll just show it to you. I think that's the where's our guy? Boink. Let me pop down here. This whole business. I'll move this up here so I can shrink it down a little bit. USMCA panel rules against U.S. position in automotive origin dispute because the USMCA rules about country of origin were loosened from what they were at NAFTA under Trump, and we've been losing these things. And people are worried that USMCA is going to be broken up because we're going to blow off this ruling. We're not going to abide by it. We're going to say, no, these cars are made in China. It's not enough of a change to have them built in Mexico. We're not going to allow these into our country under the tariffs of the USMCA, no matter what the fuck Trump wanted while he was in office. Dickhead. Oh my God. What a goon. Wait, where'd we go? There he is. Is this it? Yeah.
If any auto worker, United Auto Worker or other,
or other, you mean the scabs you had at your fucking gathering?
Any auto worker voted against Trump, they are not the smartest people. If they vote against Trump, if you look at what Biden's done to that industry, it's incredible.
You mean the walking the picket line with them and guaranteeing all the workers the first new contract in a decade? Let's see. U.S. See, automotive composites mark surpassed 20 with innovation, sustainability, driving robust, double in March. Or I want to grab this one article. Trying to find the car call for a joint European Canada. It's going to be a bloodbath. That's what came up in a bunch of these. Well, I guess maybe this is what upsets him. That's Kuala Lumpur. Trying to find the U.S. automotive company output. Yeah, that'll work. Dodge Chargers ahead with electric muscle car, but hedges with Hurricane. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, this is nice. So Dodge Chargers ahead with electric muscle car, but hedges with the Hurricane. 2024 Dodge Charger. I mean, it's kind of the perfect name. The Charger is the perfect name for an electric car, I gotta say. Dodge is committed to building muscle cars, whether they're electric or gasoline, makes no difference to the company. They said as much as 18 months ago, two-door electric Charger Daytona premiered. The concept is now a reality. However, the Charger lineup isn't kicking gasoline cold turkey. The company's twin turbocharged six-cylinder Hurricane gasoline engine, already installed in Jeep and Ram products, will also find a home in the lineup. That's very pretty. That's a cool-looking car, I gotta say. Look at that thing. Very sex machine. Ooh, it's very sexy. It's got a very shark-like look to it. And because it's electric, the takeoff is nuts. Yeah, it's just, the problem with these cars is that they just don't make a lot of noise, and therefore, how do you know it's cool? I'm not going to play it because they probably have music playing in the background. I don't know why the smoke is there. That was just added for effect because would you do, blow the radiator on an electric vehicle? I don't think that it works that way. It's very cool, though. It's very nice. It's quite nice. It's a cool car. But then, of course, it's doomed to fail because America sucks at car things.
Incredible. In a short period of time, the electric mandate will destroy it completely.
You mentioned the border.
Why? Why?
The State of the Union was recently. The current incumbent was incapable of even mentioning correctly the name of Laken Riley. You took time to meet with his parents.
Well, I don't know what's worse, misgendering the dead, or saying Lincoln instead of Laken. Who? Man, that's a fucking way to eat it, dude. Yeah, I heard that. I think we all heard that. That sucks, dude. Really?
The current incumbent was incapable of even mentioning correctly the name of Laken Riley. You took time to meet with his parents.
His parents. Sure. His parents. Yeah, I mean.
I have to ask you, as the man who secured the.
And Trump just said, yeah, didn't correct him, didn't go her, Gorka, Dr. G, her, she, her.
Border when you were the chief executive. What is the Democrat plan? Is it simply to turn tens of millions of illegals into citizens and then lock in their constituency by...
Why? If Trump is bragging about Hispanics that'll go for him, why the fuck would it be any different? If they're running from socialism, wouldn't they lean more Republican ultimately once they settle down anyways, even if they were grateful to the Democrats for letting them in the first place? They're not going to want their country to turn quote-unquote socialist, so of course they'd lean that way.
Breaking the U.S. Constitution. Why would they let at least 8 million illegals into this country in the last 3 years, sir?
They didn't.
I think that's what their plan is. Look, at first I would say, because they cheat so much, they don't really need to do that. They cheat.
Right, yeah. So it's almost like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So much with the ballots and everything else. That
9/18/21. Yes, that's September of Biden's first year after COVID lockdown stopped and right after Delta and all that shit when things started moving again, right? And does it look like that now? No, it doesn't. Was Title 42 still in place? Yes, it was. Why don't you use footage from fucking now? Why don't you go to Ted Cruz's Twitter from the videos he posts now of the people coming across? Why? Because it's a fucking trickle comparatively?
They probably don't need to do that. But we think we have that lockdown, we hope.
Why? And by the way, why are these guys standing there like that? Don't they just let them through? I thought the border was open.
We have it locked down. You know, they always come up with another way of doing it, like broken machines all over the place. If you look at...
Oh, my God, look at us, Americans passing out water to these disgusting animals.
Carry, the machines were broken. Everybody waited until Tuesday, which Republicans have historically liked to do.
Maybe they were stupid. Maybe that was a terrible plan. You know, like Vladimir Putin seeing the Afghanistan withdrawal and went, this is the perfect time. I can attack Ukraine and I won't lose a single soldier.
And then they got out and the machines were broken. Tremendous percentages of machines were just broken. And the courts don't give relief. It's hard to believe. But I guess their plan is the votes, I guess, because who would allow this to happen to our country? Yeah. They're allowing people from prisons and jails. They're allowing people from mental institutions and, you know, on steroids is insane asylums. I always say
mental institutions on steroids are insane asylums.
Silence of the Lambs. It's Hannibal Lecter. One of the spooky movies, I will tell you.
One of the spooky movies, I will tell you. Yes, we were all tormented by the ghost of Hannibal Lecter when that Clarice Starling stayed overnight in the haunted Baltimore crazy place.
But they're allowing people from mental.
What the fuck? Hold on. Explain.
Of the Lambs. It's Hannibal Lecter. One of the spooky movies, I will tell you.
One of the spooky movies, I will tell you. You know, wrap your all this. Wrap your head around that sentence. One more time.
You know, on steroids is insane asylums. I always say Silence of the Lambs. It's Hannibal Lecter. One of the spooky movies, I will tell you.
All right, Hannibal Lecter. I always say Hannibal Lecter. Silence of the Lambs. One of the great spooky movies. If you're going to say spooky movie, whatever, I can tell you. That almost makes a sentence. But Silence of the Lambs is the movie. Hannibal Lecter is one of the spooky movies, I can tell you. Excuse me 1 second. I'm getting a call. Hello, Clarice. You will tell me if the lambs stop screaming. I'm sorry I have to go. I'm meeting an old friend for dinner. Dr. Lecter? Dr. Lecter? Dr. Lecter? Dr. Lecter? And scene.
But they're allowing people from mental institutions and prisons, and they're allowing terrorists into our country at levels.
No, they're not.
Levels never seen before. And Venezuela, I don't know if you saw, their crime is down 67%.
Right, because they take all their gangs and put them in giant prisons.
I'm sure this makes you happy. Their crime is down 67% because they've gotten all their gang members and all the bad ones and the rough ones, and
put them in a giant prison.
Put them into the United States.
How? Why wouldn't they stop in Mexico and just start criming?
You believe this?
No, I don't.
Well, it's not just the criminals that they are letting into this country.
No, it's not the criminals. Coca!
Country, thousands of illegals every single day. It's also the weaponization of the judiciary. I still can't comprehend. I've seen you say it at Mar-a-Lago.
You can't comprehend? That's terrible. A terrible thing to say to the former president, who may or may not be one himself.
CPAC and elsewhere, you joke about what they're doing to you, the weaponization of the FBI and the judiciary. Our good friend and colleague, Kash Patel, and Lee Smith have theorized that the raid against you, sir, the only president to ever be raided by armed agents of the FBI.
He wasn't raided. They served a legally obtained search warrant. Nobody came in through the fucking windows. No doors were kicked in. It wasn't a raid.
Was over the binder of documents you declassified regarding the Russia hoax.
Yeah, where is it?
Do you think that's why the FBI is coming after you with these absolute...
What? Why would you declassify it and then fucking hide it? Honestly.
Political accusations and persecutions?
It could be. You don't know. It's very deeply seated. You know, when I fired...
It is. It's very deeply seated.
Comey and a lot of other people. You know, I fired a lot of people that were bad for us.
You know, my mom, she made coffee and cake and everything.
But Comey in particular, he was the head of the FBI, a disaster. It was a disaster. He was the one with Hillary Clinton where nothing rose to the occasion. They had her so cold, but with
nothing rose to the occasion, but they had her so cold.
Me.
You mean dead to rights?
I mean, if you take a look at what they did with her, you look at a double standard. I mean, the ultimate is Biden. He had many, many, many times more documents, more everything. He had no security, no nothing. They were on the garage floor of a flimsy garage with no...
Again, he gets this so weird. He'll talk about the garage door that you could cut it with scissors. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. It's such a weird thing. Does he think it was cloth or something?
Secret Service. I had Secret Service all over the place. He had his documents sent to Chinatown.
Yeah.
And those
boxes from his senatorial years
were used. Did you look at those boxes?
I saw the Zappos box.
Like
I saw
the daily basis.
The busted up Zappos box in which he kept top secret information.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at that. That was really. But you look at that as a double standard. You take a look. This is not justice, and they let him off the hook. And I did nothing wrong because I come under the Presidential Records Act.
Oh my God, the fucking Presidential Records Act. No, you don't. There's nothing. The Presidential Records Act is about what isn't yours, you dumb motherfucker, not what is yours. The Presidential Records Act doesn't give you the right to just claim all records as the president's. So fucking weird. He says this a lot, and I gotta believe it's because somebody on his fucking legal team misread it and thinks that he's protected by it. Like, you could just say these are your own personal things, and then it's yours, like the Sox case. We're like, no, motherfucker, our response to Iran striking Israel is not your own personal notes.
I did absolutely nothing wrong. Plus, Mar-a-Lago's a secure place, and you have...
No, it isn't. You rent it out.
Secret Service here because...
Yeah, but they only protect you. They don't protect the entire facility.
And you have...
They don't run security for the fucking place when you're not there.
And when I'm not president, I have a lot of Secret Service here. And all of the other things... And he gets off scot-free, and with me, I have to go through a process, but I think it's going to work out fine because I did nothing wrong. Coming under the Presidential Records Act, which he didn't come under. But think of it, they let him off scot-free and no problem. And with me, I have to go through a process. It's a disgrace what's happening in this country. The good news is the people see it. They see it. And...
They see your decay.
We have the highest poll numbers I've ever had.
No, you don't. If you had the highest poll numbers you ever had, Haley wouldn't have won fucking Vermont.
I mean, that's good. We knocked off all the Republicans quickly in record time. You know that was record time.
Yes.
I don't know if you...
No, it wasn't. The record is everybody who ran unopposed. That's the record. The record is you never had to face him in the first fucking place. Why is that weird? Why does he not recognize? Well, I mean, he can't because obviously he would have to admit to himself that he's blazingly full of shit.
You keep score of things like that, but it was the fastest ever. And
also, why the fuck are you showing pictures of Mar-a-Lago? What like all this shows me is that I could walk from the fucking beach and there's only a hedge keeping me out of the fucking property.
That's good. And now we're focused on one person, and that's Biden, crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. We have never had a worse president. And, you know, I say oftentimes at a rally or wherever.
Yeah, wherever.
If you took the 10, I used to say 5 worst. Now I say 10 worst. I think I could go up to 15 pretty soon. I think I will.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. You could say the bottom 50%. Nobody gives a shit.
If you took the 10 worst presidents and...
Yeah, but the problem is that would include you.
Added them up. They wouldn't have done the damage that this man has done to our country.
Right, because they would have done damage, and he hasn't.
But
I think you believe that.
But do you think it's him? There are lots of theories as to. I mean,
did you hear that? You believe that as much as anybody. When you try to fucking Jedi mind trick him.
You look at him; he's not cognitively competent.
Sorry, say that again, shithead. Oh, beg your pardon. I got myself all shiny. Hold on. Golka. Goka. Actually, look too cool with this. Hold on. That didn't look like it. Hold on. Why do these have glasses? What the hell? I don't know why I don't have a Goka beard. Nope, that won't work. Work with me. How about this one? Goka, I'm ready. Goka. I'm double O Goka. I'm double O Goka. God damn it. Goka. Man beard? What's it? What this? I look like a biker. This doesn't look half bad. I got a ride later on, ladies. Just remember this next time you see me with this kind of facial hair. Understand, I rode up on my hog. It's not a motorcycle, it's an actual trained hog. I couldn't go anywhere without her and stuff. And if I ever get in trouble and I kill a man in a parking lot, hypothetically, my hog will just eat him. Evidence gone, and off we ride. Me on my hog. Squeal into the sunset. You like the porn star look? Is that what this looks like? Come on now. Oh, wait, maybe this is a bit. Nope, that's terrible. I'm trying to find one that works. Why the fuck? Why is this? Nope. Oh, that's a clean shave. I don't need to get rid of that shit. Beard. Well, now I just look like this is my Don Jr. beard. This won't work. I need a goatee. I think there's some sort of there's a conspiracy going on right now to stop you from trying to look like Gorka. I can't even say it with my Minnesota accent. It's really hard. How do you expect? I mean, that's one sentence that Donald Trump has never been able to say except around court cases and his difficulties there. Everywhere else, it's impossible for him to say, it's really hard, for the record. And if you don't believe me, I'll meet you in the basement of the Denver airport. Come on. All right.
Who's really running the country? Is it Obama? Is it Jill?
Jesus Christ, try to give him this out. Sometimes I say Obama, and they think I'm not joking, even though I say Obama instead of Biden, and I don't fix it. But that's because I think it's so true, people understand that I'm not making it up.
The Obama flunkies across government. Who do you think's really destroying America?
Clearly, it's the cabal that Roseanne warned us about. Come on.
I often ask the same question about him. Is it him? Because he's so out of it. Where does he even come up with ideas? I assume that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Because you're almost saying, like, as evil as it is, it's like ideas, and it's really bad stuff. And I'm not sure that it's him. I know he must approve it.
Well, that's a shot of him, like, everybody's talking to Obama, and he's like, talking to somebody else. He's like, hey, what? Okay, we're good. Turns back around and goes.
Look at him and say, can we do this? And he looks at him with a blank stare and says, yes, right? Nobody. It's the people look, it's Lisa, and it's all these guys that surround.
Lisa? Who the fuck is Lisa? Who's Lisa? Also, I thought he couldn't find his way off a stage. He seems to be going right for the fucking door, I guess. Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I turned that shit off. If I can, hold on.
That oval desk.
Real quick.
Ideas, and it's really bad stuff. And I'm not sure that it's him. I know he must approve it. They must look at him and say, can we do this? And he looks at him with a blank stare and says, yes, right? Nobody. It's the people look, it's Lisa.
It's Lisa. And then, remember, he says he can't walk off stage.
And it's all these guys that surround that oval desk. It's guys
kind of went straight for the exit right there. I don't know.
Like Andrew Weissman that, because she essentially works for him. And Lisa Monaco.
Monaco, yeah, at the Department of Justice.
She essentially works for him. So I would say it's her, and it's a group of people that surround that beautiful Resolute desk. I don't know if it's...
Hold on. Back up real quick.
There and says, yes, right? Nobody... It's the people look, it's Lisa, and it's all these guys that surround that oval desk. it's guys like Andrew.
You mean the desk in the Oval Office?
Andrew Weissman, that, because she essentially works for him, and Lisa Monaco.
Monaco, at the Department of Justice.
She essentially works for him. So I would say it's her, and it's a group of people that surround that beautiful Resolute desk. I don't know if it's...
He cleaned up Oval Desk. Also, the Resolute desk is a very specific desk. It's not, there's other desks available. I don't know if that, I'm pretty sure that's the one Biden uses as well. It's the one Obama used, but I think Trump wanted to use it as well because he felt jealous.
I don't know. To me, I don't see it because he's so out of it. You don't think he even thinks, he just wants to go to sleep. But he's surrounded by people.
Also, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're showing video of him speaking where you're like, he's raging, and the State of the Union, and then you're like, he can't even fight his way off the stage. You show video of him walking straight out when he's done with something. Good Lord.
That are vicious and smart, and they've been after me.
Yes. Unlike the people who were in your cabinet who are vicious and fucking morons.
For years, and they continue onward. And if they devoted the same energy and talent to making America great again.
Yeah, if they devoted their talent to making the country great, we'd have a booming stock market. We'd have unemployment at the lowest level it's been in 50 years for the longest stretch ever. We'd have jobs and wages rising. We'd have inflation coming down. We have gas prices coming down. We'd have manufacturing coming back. We'd have a reshoring of multiple factories. Hold on a second.
And we'd be a much better country right now.
You talked about...
We are a much better country right now, you dumbass.
The security of Mar-a-Lago, the Secret Service protection you have. I just want to raise one issue that is of concern to serious individuals and patriots. My good friend Dan Bongino, who you know is a former Secret
Bangholio, who is looking for tipi for his bunghole. Yes.
Service agent. Both he...
Right.
They're very worried that you're going to be assassinated by... your own colon.
And Alan Dershowitz, who's a Democrat, on my show.
Bullshit.
Have both voiced their serious concerns for your safety.
Yeah, what are they afraid? He's gonna stand up, try to wipe his ass, keel over, and bang his head on the bathroom counter? Seriously, this motherfucker's gonna die like Elvis. If he eats too much cheese one afternoon, he's gonna blow his brains out trying to take a dump. Nobody's going to kill this dumb motherfucker. Why would we? He's worth more to Democrats alive. He's a great example of the absolute dismal failure of the Republican Party.
Are you worried that the left are so insane with regards to Antifa, the normalization of violence?
Oh my God. That they might, Jan 6 Mar-a-Lago?
About you and your family's safety.
Are you worried at all about the Jan 6ers who don't think that are like, wait a minute, he talks a good game, but he didn't pardon these people when he had a chance? Fuck, I think he's not to be trusted and that they do it.
Mr. President?
Well, I've found Secret Service to be great, and I watch it very closely. I think they're great people.
You watch it very closely? What, is there a TV show?
I know many of the agents.
Yeah, not all of them, obviously. Not, I know a couple of the ones. I know Hey You and Big Guy and I know Central Casting. That guy's great.
And I've had many agents, and I find them to be doing a great job. I really.
You've had them sexually? That's weird.
And I would tell you.
Does Melania know? More to the point, does she care?
Otherwise.
Does she hope you do?
I wouldn't even want them otherwise. They have really found, I think they're very outstanding people.
Okay, yeah. Fuckwad, he's not saying that the Democrats are going to order your own Secret Service detail to kill you.
Now, in every agency, you have people that aren't so outstanding, right?
Jesus Christ. That's not what he's talking about, you fucking moron.
I mean, no matter what you do, no matter how you play it. But I found that.
No matter how you play it. You could be the greatest guy in the world, and one of your own Secret Service will be so sick of your shit that they'll want to choke the fuck out of you while you're, they find you choking on a fucking fish delight, and they don't do the Heimlich when they're legally obliged to, and they just sit there, and then they wait a couple seconds before they make the phone call. What do you think?
It'd be terrific. Absolutely.
Good. So.
Yeah, but they can't be everywhere at once, dummy. That's the point. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about Whether or not the Secret Service will do what they got to do, I believe they will. Good Lord. They mean, like, if you've got 6 fucking guys and 3,000 people storm up the steps at Mar-a-Lago, what the fuck are you going to do?
The big news of the first 24 hours of your next presidency, if we make it happen, God willing, is what happens in Ukraine with regards to Russia. Could you talk to us about the art?
Yeah, tell us how you could solve it. It never would have happened. You're going to solve it in 10 minutes.
Of the deal when it comes to stopping the blood.
The art of the deal. I don't know. I didn't write it, so you got to ask that guy. Honestly, the fuck? Why do people keep asking me about what's in the art of the deal? That's like asking me what's in the fucking Bible. How the fuck should I know?
Bloodshed in Europe.
Sure. Before I do that, I just want to add one other thing on Secret Service.
Yes.
They just totally refuted the Cassidy Hutchinson,
yes.
who I barely knew. I wouldn't even know what she looks like,
bullshit.
Except I've seen her after the fact. But Cassidy.
There is no way that woman walks around the Oval Office and Trump doesn't know exactly who the fuck she is. Shut up. It's probably one of the reasons why he wanted to hang Mike Pence, because he thought he would inherit her as an assistant.
Hutchinson's ridiculous story that I essentially attacked 2 Secret Service.
No, it wasn't her story. She was relaying a story she had heard.
Young, strong guys, I'm attacking them in the front of, I think she called it the Beast when it wasn't the Beast.
No, you called it the Beast, you dumb motherfucker. Oh my God, he's turning this around. He wasn't in the Beast. He was in one of the SUVs. That's why it was possible.
No. It was a different kind of a car, but she originally, I believe, said it was the Beast.
No, you did. Don Jr. made that case. Everybody on the right, holy fuck. It's us upside down world again. These assholes. They were saying, oh yeah, in the Beast, you can't even do that. There's like a screen that goes up and you can't even, ugh.
But think of it. She makes up this story. They refuted it in its entirety and strongly. Now, the problem is the J6 committee of, I call it the unselect committee.
Brilliant.
They're unselect.
Yeah, we get it. So the word was select, and you think unselect because they were unselected from, instead of being selected, they were not selected, even though they were selected.
The unselect committee.
Jesus Christ.
Destroyed all the evidence and everything.
No, they didn't.
They destroyed everything.
No, they did not.
I hear that Cassidy Hutchinson changed a lot of her testimony, and I say, what?
No, she didn't.
What's going to happen to her? She made up testimony that I was attacking 2.
No, she didn't. She relayed a story she heard from the people that were there.
Very powerful, physically powerful people. And
strong, you mean? Physically strong?
A lot of my friends said, oh, gee, I never knew you were that much into fighting. You know, I like watching UFC, but they didn't know. They said, I never knew you were that into fighting. But the whole thing was such a fake
Right. And to that point, you were like, yeah, I'm not. I'm a total cream puff. What are you talking about? I would never try to do that. They'd kick my ass all over the place. He couldn't even deny it just then. It's like, it's a fake story, but I could totally kick their ass if I wanted to.
Story, and it was made up. It was just made up. And Secret Service totally refuted it. And so I do want to say that because it's important.
Yes.
I found them to be very reliable, very good. As far as Ukraine is concerned,
never would have happened
with Russia. Number one, it should have never started. It would have never started. It wasn't going to happen. There was never any discussion. I did discuss with Putin on numerous occasions his love affair with Ukraine. I mean,
his love affair with it. Yeah, and that's what you do when you love something. You bomb it for 8 years straight.
It was the apple of his eye.
Which is, what the fuck?
He would have never done it when I was there, and there were certain reasons, very strong reasons.
Like?
Very, very strong reasons.
Like?
He wouldn't have done it.
Like?
And he wouldn't have done it for another, maybe more practical reason. I had oil way down at a very low point. Energy.
Yeah. You mean COVID?
Oil. And he makes most of his money from oil, and oil was low. When Biden came in, he upset the energy apple cart. You know, we were energy independent.
The energy apple cart.
And now we're not. We go.
Yeah, there's no time for details. Exactly.
Begging for energy from everybody. We have more than anybody else, but we have to go begging. So when he
No, we don't. We're at the height of our productivity right now, and we have 9,000 unused leases.
He came in, Sebastian, he screwed up energy. That caused inflation, but it also gave a lot of money to Russia. Now, I happen to think that, in terms of they were making money hand over fist. At $40 a barrel, they don't do great. At $100 a barrel, they never saw anything like it. And that was for a long time. And now it's going up again. Oil is going up again, if you notice. And it's going up very substantially, very quick.
Is it? Very substantially, very quickly. Well, let's check that out. That's a possibility. Hold on, let's see. 82.54, it's down. Whoops, hold on 1 second. Crude oil prices today. Let's see, U.S. gasoline inventory. Let's see. U.S. crude oil gasoline inventories in the U.S. continue to drop. Scientists can now hack weather satellites to quantify methane leaks. WTI crude is at 83. Merban crude is 87. Brent crude is 87. Natural gas 1.76. Here you go. One for the 150. There you go. Oops. Scroll down here. Here you go. This is good. Okay. This is the Brent crude. Natural gas, heating oil. 40. Here's our. Well, let me show this. There you go. This is WTI crude is at 83. 87 for Brent. Merban crude is 87, is almost tied there or whatever. Natural gas 176, that's down, up a little over a penny, 0.69%. Gasoline is 274, it's down. That's weird. Oil's up, gas down. Heating oil down 0.30%. WTI Midland's 84. Mars US 78. Oh, the OPEC basket is at 86. It's even. Canadian index to the Urals is at 72. Indian basket's 85. The Mexican basket, domestic set Cushing 79. Louisiana light. All these are stagnant, steady at zero change. Yeah, so OPEC pricing is leading the rise. There you go. You see the jackups there. U.S. cost of U.S. oil hasn't gone up significantly. Western Canadian Select has gone up, but it's 66.86, so it's still lower than everything else. But the international prices have gone up. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's about he's basically saying like OPEC is trying to control the price again. All the more reason for renewables.
But think of it. So
think of it. If we all drove electric cars, we wouldn't give a rat fuck what oil prices were.
He is making all of this money, and he goes in. But I happen to think that the horrible, most embarrassing day or moment in the history of our country was the withdrawal, the way we withdrew from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And
again, why?
We left $85 billion worth of
we didn't.
Equipment behind. We lost 13 soldiers.
Well, you released 5,000 Taliban soldiers. I think that's more embarrassing.
What nobody talks about, we have 38 soldiers, 39 soldiers that were horrifically hurt.
38, 39. Does it really matter?
Hundreds of people were killed on both sides, hundreds. And we have American hostages still there.
No, we don't.
I mean, they're still there.
No, they're not.
That was the worst thing. And that showed such great incompetence that I happen to think that really led to Putin saying, this is the time. Let's go. These guys are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And
boy, was he wrong.
He went into Ukraine.
And he lost 500,000 people.
That being said, it was easy then. It's much more difficult now. But the sad thing.
Why? Why is it more difficult now? Because once he did it, he was going to keep doing it? Can't you talk him out of it?
Is we now have hundreds of thousands of dead people.
Well, the Russians do, sure.
And we have cities and a culture that's been blown up. I mean, many of those cities are gone. They've been wiped off. Those beautiful ancient towers of gold. They've been.
What? Those beautiful ancient towers of gold? Where the... Russia didn't attack Atlantis, you dumb motherfucker. What?
Wiped off the planet. They can never be resurrected.
Well, of course not. They're ancient towers of gold. What the hell? Ancient towers of gold. I I gotta say, this might be the dumbest thing he's said so far. And he said some dumb shit over the years. Good God. Ancient towers of gold. Fuck are you talking about?
In that form, and that form was a beautiful form. So all of that is gone.
Look at that woman with a fresh head injury from a piece of flying gold. She was struck in the head by flying chunks of gold.
And so nothing you can do now could ever have competed with the fact of no war. There would have never been a war.
Nothing could compete with the fact of no war.
Not even to make it. I could have made a deal, but I wouldn't have even had to make a deal. Could have stayed the way it was. It would have never happened under me, under my administration. Okay, so now it's all done.
Right. So let's get the bullshit out of the way. Now what would you do?
Biden has made a mess of that like he has every other thing. You have hundreds of thousands of dead people, and
most of them Russian soldiers.
You have cities that are blown to pieces. What do we do?
Yes. What is? Here you go. We're going to get specific. Thanks, Golka.
We have to get both of them together, and I say you got to get this thing done. You're going to get it done, and I will say certain things to each one of them that I wouldn't say to the rest of the world, and that's
why? Because the rest of the world would go, "Holy fuck, you're a monster."
That's why I can't tell you much more than that, but
because it's bullshit.
I believe that I will get it done. I know Putin.
Well, that's all I need. I mean, I know a lot of us thought, hey, they're just showing like incubators in the building that the Russians blew up. But we can shrug that off. You know, I'm going to tell them things in the room like, fuck the babies. Let's move on.
Very well, and I know Zelensky fairly well. Zelensky.
Yeah, you definitely know Putin better than you know Zelensky. That's for goddamn.
He was very honorable with the phone call because he said, no, I wasn't threatened at all. He could have played that out and made a big deal out of it. He said, I wasn't threatened at all by President Trump. It was a very...
Yeah, because you could have won the election and you're a fucking vindictive bastard. It would have put him on the back foot, and he knew that Russia was planning an attack like everybody else.
Very nice call. I mean, that call turned out to be a perfect phone call.
Oh, my God. No, it didn't. If it was a perfect phone call, they couldn't have even come up with anything that even remotely convinced anyone. It would have been perfect. It was, indeed, imperfect.
Called it. I mean, I actually called it. And they knew it because they had the laptop from hell.
Okay, first of all, the laptop from hell doesn't exist unless you're talking about the laptop from Russia, which Russia is hell. I'll grant you that. Secondly, what the fuck does that have to do with this?
But anyway,
anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Fictional solution.
Played it very honorable. You know, he could have, you understand what I mean, Sebastian.
Yes.
He could have grandstanded, I felt threatened, et cetera, et cetera. He wasn't threatened at all, and he said that, which destroyed their case, their no case, because fortunately they had that call recorded, and once they had the recording, that whole thing died, and it died fast. But what a shame.
No, it didn't. You were impeached over it.
That the country has to go through all that by these dishonest guys like Shifty Schiff. He is so bad.
That he's going to become the next senator from California?
And to think he'll possibly and probably
oh, yeah, definitely.
be a senator is...
Oh, definitely.
Is so disgraceful to this...
Oh, it's so sad, you know, that now Rand Paul has to deal with him standing nearby. It's going to be rough.
Country. It's such a downer for this country to have a...
It is. It's such a downer. It's a buzzkill, bro.
A guy like that in the Senate who's lied and everything else. But I would get them together and I would make a deal. And I'll get it done. And I know exactly what to say. But if I say it to you or if I say it to the public, I can't say it anymore. But it's
why? Seriously, why? What is it about that, you know, that's like, imagine if no one could talk about a two-state solution in Israel and Gaza. You couldn't even bring it up. Here's what I would suggest is a two-state solution where this happens and we deal with it in these circumstances. Maybe we have the PLO or the PA come in and work together with the people of Gaza and set something up, or whatever. That's what I would suggest, or whatever. And if that fails, then be a secondary UN peacekeeping force would be a second way to do this, whatever, and we'd be able to get Israel out of there, and the reconstruction would be done, multilaterally with our partners in the region, and the United States could help a little bit with it, and as could Israel, as an act of goodwill. We could put that together. That's like, why can't you say something like that? I'll tell you why. Because the minute he says what he's planning, Putin would applaud, and everyone in Russia would applaud, and the Ukrainians would go, fuck you, as would the vast majority of Americans.
It's a chess match. It's a giant, very important chess match.
It's not a chess match. You just said you'd get them in a room and tell them what's going to happen, and that's that.
It's a poker game.
Well, that's very different. There are different rules with poker, and there's a lot, I don't know if you noticed, but in poker, you don't have as many pieces.
And we got to get it done. Biden said the worst.
Do you have 2 bishops? Go fish. Oh, sorry, that's your line.
Things. I mean, initially, he was just. I don't blame anybody other than Putin, and I don't blame anybody other than the people involved. But Biden was so bad in terms of not stopping it. He could have stopped that easily.
How?
But everything he said was.
Wait a minute. No. You can say what you can say. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. But Biden could have stopped it just by this, and this. He could have seized the thing and sent in what? Sent in troops? Bombed the fucking incoming Russian troops? What do you mean?
Almost the opposite of what he should have been saying. He is not much of a chess player. They're good at cheating.
What the fuck are you talking about?
On elections, but they're not good at a lot of other things. That I can tell you.
It's not just Ukraine, however, Mr. President. We now have a war in the Middle East. For 4 years, there was no war under your tenure as commander-in-chief.
What the fuck are you talking about? There was Syria. There were ongoing fights in the Middle East, in Iraq. Afghanistan had a bunch of dust-ups. What the shit are you talking about?
You have proven yourself to be the most pro-Israel, most philo-Semitic president since the rebirth of Israel.
Philo-Semitic. Lover of the Semites.
In 1948. You moved the embassy. You recognized Jerusalem. It's one of my...
Yeah, it's what Yahweh Sinwar said was his primary reason for planning the attack.
Great regrets that I was invited to the reopening of the new embassy that Ambassador Friedman created in Jerusalem. I couldn't go. Could you explain?
Well, I'm going to wander up here, and I'm going to put a little note in there, God, if you can do something, maybe strike Stormy Daniels with a lightning bolt, something like that. I know it's a big ask, but not for you.
Why is it, seemingly, that this administration, including Chuck Schumer in the Senate, so hate the man that Israel chose as their prime minister? Why do the Democrats
hate? What the hell is that? What is he doing? He's like, I always heard of it as the Wailing Wall, not the Sucking Wall. I guess supposedly they got it. You got to take in a breath to be able to wail in the front. Whoa. What in the hell?
Bibi Netanyahu.
I actually think they hate Israel.
Yeah.
They told me, go up there, count to 35 with your eyes closed, and people will think you're praying. And then he looks like he's pissing on it. Just like, what? I thought this is what you're supposed to do. Good Lord.
I don't think they hate him. I think they hate Israel. And the Democrat Party...
They don't hate Netanyahu. They hate Israel.
Hates Israel. And the Democrat Party, if you remember, when many Israeli representatives, including Netanyahu, when they came to the country begging, at that time President Obama, please don't make the Iran nuclear deal, which is a disaster and was a disaster. And I ended it. But unfortunately, they didn't do anything with the ending of it. I ended it. And
what?
Would have had a new deal made with Iran. It would have been good for everybody, and there would have been...
Yeah, but then I lost the election. I was like, fuck you people.
No nuclear weapons. They're very close to getting a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, totally. 65 days ago, they were 65 days away. probably, by tonight sometime.
Right now.
Yes.
And once they have that, it becomes a different form of negotiation, a much more difficult negotiation.
Yeah, they bomb Pakistan and Pakistan fires on them, and then problem solved, I guess.
But I really believe they hate Israel, and they also see a lot of votes. Don't forget, when you see those Palestinian marches, even I'm amazed at how many people are in those marches. And guys like Schumer see that, and to him it's votes. I think it's votes more than anything else, because he was always pro-Israel. He's very anti-Israel now.
No, he isn't. He doesn't like Netanyahu, and he thinks Netanyahu is ruining Israel's standing in the world, and at the very least is terrible at the messaging and control of what's going on there, explaining what's going on and being more direct about it, and also pushing back against the U.S. providing aid. That's why we're building a fucking floating pier.
Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion. They hate everything about Israel. And
any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion and everything about Israel. Okay, so I guess we're with that whole Biden. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I guess we're even on that.
They should be ashamed of themselves, because Israel would be destroyed. You have Iran now making a nuclear weapon. None of that would have happened with me. That's a big.
It was happening with you.
Big thing. With me, Iran was broke. They were absolutely.
No, they weren't. He gave them a waiver. The $6 billion for the hostages. Then the South Korean bank that money was made during Trump.
Don't call broke. There was no terrorism because they didn't have money to fund Hamas and.
There was no terrorism.
Hezbollah and the other 28 groups. They had no money. They were stoned.
There were literally rocket attacks from Gaza into Israel at least every week that he was president.
Cold broke. China couldn't buy oil from them. None of the countries were buying oil for them.
That's his whole
China don't buy, none of you buy.
Weird thing. South Korea bought from them, as did a couple of other countries, because he gave them a specific waiver.
At my order.
Okay.
They didn't buy it. I said, you buy it, you're not going to do business with the United States of America. They said, we'll pass, and they didn't buy oil. And they were broke. Now they have $221 billion, including the $6 billion that we gave them.
Nope, they don't have it.
For hostage.
Still in the South Korean bank.
Yeah. Okay, we gave them $6 billion, including the $10 billion that we gave them so that Iraq could get electricity. How about that? We gave them $10 billion so Iraq gets electricity, and Iraq wants to throw us out. The whole thing is crazy. These people.
By the way, the only reason you think we should be in Iraq is so we could keep their oil.
Are the worst. There's something wrong with them. They are the worst negotiators. All they're good at is evil. They're evil people. Yeah.
Well, that settles it. All right. I've heard enough, as have you. It's just more of the same kind of shit. Just old man yells at clouds is his argument. And I went way over time, but I missed you guys, so I thought, I'd extend it a little bit if that's cool with you guys. But I got to eat something or I'm going to pass out. So love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Regular morning show, regular afternoon show, timing back to normal the rest of the week, just so you know. And then on the 29th coming up, we got the show at Flappers. And then the next show up, Sexy Liberals, Minnesota, is in Minneapolis. And I'm very excited about these. It's gonna be very good, and I'm hoping we get some Nerd Halen gigs on either side so that people can come. And if you come into if you're in the surrounding area and you're like, should I buy tickets? It's kind of a drive for the one night or whatever. Maybe you come in, make a weekend out of it. I'm just saying, maybe I could throw that in to kind of soften shit up. Now I'm saying, come on, it's true. And if you stick around after the goddamn show, I will provide you with some I'm just going to say, first-hand knowledge of the kind of first-hand knowledge you can only get from me. And, if you've ever read the Dead Sea Scrolls in their original Italian, because they were written at the Vatican, which, by the way, there's a tunnel in the Vatican that takes you right past the kidney. Yeah. I'm worried about it. Kidney. That's scarier than the Illuminati. More frightening than Bigfoot, who is actually the head enforcer of the Illuminati. He comes in the night and squeezes your head like a pimple. kidney. That's what scares me. That's what worries me. Oh, God. Oh, God, I feel the heat coming on. I'm going to need a goddamn nap. Thank you, guys. Please hit that like on your way out the door. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate all our new members. Thank you. Thank you so much. And don't forget, Friday Eye this Friday with our special guests, Rob Glenn and Tara Dublin, who apparently rocks, will also be joining us. Until then, thank you, Captain Cheeto. I'm going with Cheeto. Brendan, thank you. Brenda Miller, thank you. Marcia, thank you. Billy 3000, I love you, 3000. Kristen Gambini, just wonderful. Tom Rice, Andrea, thank you so much. Amen. Justin, the other human, that's not true. You're special. You're special. Eli Montoya. First you get the Eli, then you get the Montoya. Steve Murray, thank you. Alan, don't forget to hit that like. Please like. Please subscribe. Hey baby, I get it. It's a hey baby. Rose Black, thank you for the super chat. That was lovely. I'm so impressed. See through your windows, right? Oh, Becky 2017 just subscribed. Fantastic. Thanks, Becky. I love you so much. Let's see. Hello, Jake, Treva, you're wonderful. So where'd they go? Credits happened. Come back. What happened? Oh, the awesome ones. Thank you so much. It's there. See you later. Also, like and subscribe. Don't forget, liking and subscribing, or we will turn on you. I'm kidding. Did you feel terrible at the robot uprising? Like and subscribe. And also, if you're nice, there'll be a cat on the show. And maybe the afternoon show. Actually, the cats are very close by. But sometimes I can smell. Thanks, Mick. Oh, and Groove Dragon, thanks so much. Also, teacher, type your caps to up. It's a little free. We appreciate you. Believe me, you can read letters on their regular size. Arizona sunflowers, you deserve a mention. Ta-da! Thank you, Arizona sunflowers. Now you have your own jingle. Say Jada Pinkett Smith. Damn it! I have special vanishing space powers. Bye.